OBJ. That's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
And the crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dave Montgomery and the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the only football podcast. Today, Kyle and I are going to be giving you guys our week 3 predictions, starting with tonight, Thursday Night Football between the Dolphins and the Bills. We're also going to be doing our top five. And of course, we're going to end it off with the Chives with Kyle. Oh, let's get it. America is football.
Football is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass for the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my god.
No.
You loved it.
30 to 27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the only football podcast. I'm Kyle, and that's Rick.
I'm like, that's Kyle.
And today,
Yo.
we will be going over the week 3 predictions the
Yo.
way we see it, not the way they see it, the way I see it, and the way Rick
see it.
which will be the same as the way I see it for the most part.
I'm seeing it.
We might have a couple differences,
I'm
but
gonna see it.
overall, I think we're going to agree on 99.9% of our picks, as we do every week. Week 2 was weird. I'm not ready to say the Colts are a top 10 team because I'm not ready to say that we're a top 10 team. And if you beat a top 10 team, maybe you are a top 10 team, but top 10 teams don't give up 450 yards of defense. And the Bears are just happy to play a different game this week than the game they played last week. They gave
very
up
much
50 burger after we all kind of believed that the Lions were different in a way that was favoritive for the Bears. They looked like they were the same in a way that was bad for the Bears last week. So we still need more data. We're not ready after 2 weeks of football, just like every single year. Where week 1, we're like, okay, I got a good idea. Week 2, it's like, all right, 25% of those good ideas, we still have a good idea. The other 75%, we're kind of back to where we started. So week 3 is always, I think, historically, it's like one of the worst betting weeks.
Really?
We just don't know a lot about these teams. I mean, think about it. Last year, Denver at this point was 0-2. The Bucs had just beaten the Lions in Detroit, and Denver went and beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
In Tampa Bay, and then they would go on to win 10 games that year. Did anybody think that Denver had a chance in the Tampa game? Like, of course not. So yeah, week 3 is just tough because we just don't have enough data yet. So we're going to start off with tonight's football game, which is the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. And this is another one of those games where the Dolphins, they fit the bill to be a large underdog because they started 0-2. Not just that, but the way they got beat by the Colts week 1 was embarrassing. And then last week they lose another game where the offense I'll just say this about this game. There was a series of events where the Dolphins like ran the clock down to the 2-minute warning, and they had the entire 2-minute warning timeout to call the play.
Yeah.
And yet they got called of a delay of game coming out of that. And it's like, how does that happen, at home? And then to make it worse, that they were about to get called a second time for delay. They did. They got called a second time for delay of game.
Oh,
it was 2 in a row. And it's like, what's
God.
going on? You guys have had like collectively now, 7 minutes to get this play right. The third time they get the ball snapped with 1 second left on the play clock.
Jesus.
And then and two ends up like rolling out and it's like a sack. So it equals nothing. And like 2 plays later, the game's over. And it's just like, what is going on? Like the Dolphins aren't just struggling with, playing competitive football. They're struggling to get the ball snapped. And that's coaching. I know what that looks like because I saw it when our fans were counting down the play clock. 5, 4, 3. Because it was like, what is going on out there?
Yeah.
The Dolphins have a coaching issue. This is much more than just not being good football players. I'm going to take Buffalo Bills. I'm not interested in the 12.5. I'm not one to jump on a spread over 10 points in the NFL in general. I would try to find other ways to make this game more valuable. Maybe taking a Josh Allen anytime touchdown with, a Achane double, 2 touchdowns, Bills win, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, and that's actually a good bet, especially coupled with the Devon Achane thing, because Achane has now scored not only in both games this year, so far this year, I should say, but he's the best player on the Dolphins right now. You had mentioned the issues on snapping the ball with the Dolphins, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, over the last couple days or so, post-game conferences, just media availability with the players, Tua and Mike McDaniel have both cited communication to be somewhat of an issue so far throughout the season. So the bad vibes continue in Miami, and I think they're going to continue in Buffalo because the Dolphins haven't beat the Bills in Buffalo in 9 years. The last time they beat them was in 2016. So that right there should tell you to take the Bills. And let's be honest, the Bills are already the much better team. And I know you and Crafty are both saying like it's tough to tell right now. Right, like I'm totally confident in saying that the Bills are going to destroy the Dolphins in week 3, especially at home, as long as they're not having any issues. Look for James Cook to have a touchdown in this one. He's had a rushing touchdown in 6 straight games and has 19 rushing touchdowns since the start of last year, which is leading the NFL.
Yeah, and the Tua thing, I mean, he missed 40% of his incompletions were on overthrows or underthrows, or they were wide. That was 28th in the NFL. So Tua's he's still completing a high rate of his passes, but his misses are historically high because of inaccuracy for him. So there's just everybody, when a team looks as bad as the Dolphins have, it's like Sean said, there's a lot of dirty fingers. There's a lot of, blame to go around, and that is definitely the case in Miami. The next game, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1.5 favorite at the New England Patriots. That is 1 p.m. Eastern time Sunday on CBS. Okay, forget the teams here. I'm taking the over on the 44.5 point. These are 2 of the 5 worst teams allowing explosive plays. I think with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Patriots, I think they're both like guaranteed in this game. And now I think a lot of it is we're used to seeing a game like this be low scoring, but this is just kind of not who the Steelers have shown us they are this year. They're not like top 5 defense so far. And then the New England Patriots are in the same boat where they're able to score enough points to try to stay in the game. So I could see this game being high scoring, which is unusual. Pittsburgh's having trouble blocking for Aaron Rodgers, and that is probably the reason that they shouldn't be the favorite on the road. But the Patriots being at home in this game as an underdog, it's a little too much for me. I'm going to take the Steelers money line. And they do need to figure out how to protect Aaron Rodgers better, because if they don't, he's not going to finish the season. And that's just you come on, just protect the guy.
And it was looking good in that week 1 for the Steelers. They scored 42 points, 41 points, whatever it was, against the Jets. And I mean, again, it was all week 1 stuff. Everybody was thinking the Jets defense was just going to continue to be dominant and just overall good from last season and really over the last couple seasons. And then, Aaron Rodgers, they get a lucky play off the kickoff, and then they go on to win the game. But yeah, last week was not very good for Rodgers or the Steelers. Again, the defense seems to be an issue, and that's not something that we necessarily see from the Steelers. But then the Patriots, they don't look like a very good team in general. Now, I feel like the Patriots, obviously they won against the Dolphins, but even that was a struggle. And I had taken the Dolphins to win that game, and it seemed like the Dolphins were going to win that game up until the fourth quarter. But the Patriots, to me, they have Vrabel there. He's starting to set the culture. He's starting to set the team, give it an identity. The Patriots, the Bears, I feel like are in the same boat right now, where it's like, okay, what can we do well, and how can we execute that? And the Patriots right now are in one of those situations like with the Bears, where it's like, what is the identity? What's the culture? Who are our leaders? So on and so forth. Regardless of all that, I'm still going to take the Steelers, even in New England. The Patriots struggled against the Raiders and the Dolphins, offensively, defensively. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, but I can see this being like a Chiefs Eagles of week 2, like a 2017 win. I think it's going to be close just because the defenses, I don't trust either of these defenses right now. And the offenses, the Patriots look a little bit wobbly, whereas Rodgers isn't protected and looks a little bit slower than his week 1 self. So I'm going to take the Steelers to win this game, but I think it's going to be a very close game. And I think it's going to be low scoring, not because of the defenses, but just because I think the offenses are going to struggle to get really anything going. So I'm going to take the Steelers to take the dub in New England.
All right. And it's worth mentioning the Steelers are 1-6 in Gillette Stadium since 2000.
All right. So I'm going to take the Patriots. No, I'm just kidding.
What? With all 6 of those losses coming against Tom Brady.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, with a combined score of 186-99. The only win that they got was in 2008 when Tom Brady didn't play because of injury. So,
of course.
Next up, we got, I think, a team that we're both going to, unfortunately for you, agree, the Green Bay Packers going and playing the Cleveland Browns. This is turning into the Green Bay Packers should be the favorite to go to the Super Bowl, and it's happening very quick. The Washington Commanders, the way that they looked against this defense was very telling, because we now have a couple things. We saw the Lions play very good offensively against the Bears, so that no longer is just that the Lions were struggling. It's that the Packers defense was making the Lions look like a bottom 10 deep offense. And then the week after that, we need more data. And the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, McLaurin, all these guys, they were completely shut down. I watched the entire game on my couch, and the whole time I'm watching the game, I'm like, they can't get anything? Like, they can't get a first down?
Yeah.
It was like, it was clear.
Struggling. They were struggling.
Yeah, they were struggling.
Oh, Kyle.
Now, Jaden, that on fourth ball with the broken collarbone, that was pretty cool. But Unfortunately, he broke his collarbone on that play, so they're not going to have him for a while. But man, the way Wicks looks in this offense, man, he looks really good. And they still have Dobbs and Watson. So depth at receiver, of course, they drafted Golden. Like, there's not a replacement for Reed because he is just special in this offense. But if anyone could find a way, it's the Packers with the type of offense they're running and the way their defense is playing. So to me, this is a no-brainer. The Packers started with victories against 2024 playoff teams, and now they're going to go and play a Cleveland Browns team that I don't know if they are even going to be remotely close to making this game competitive. But because they shouldn't, I'm going to go Packers 26-16.
Oh, okay. I don't mind that score one bit because we've seen the Packers through 2 weeks. We've seen them dismantle the Lions. We've seen them dismantle the Commanders, two teams who were in the playoffs last year. And while I wasn't too impressed with the Commanders week 1, the offense, it's still impressive to, like how you said, maintain Jaden Daniels for the most part. And they did it in a dominant fashion against the Commanders. So like you said, it pains me to agree that the Packers are one of the Super Bowl favorites right now. They have to, if they don't continue this, it will be surprising. Take out any injuries, and they should be at least in the NFC Championship this year. Unfortunately, I've got to drink alcohol after I said that. But regardless, the Browns defense still pretty good. Myles Garrett is still a force, but the team on the offensive side, I mean, Jerry Jeudy, Joe Flacco, and whoever the hell's at running back, Jerome Ford, I don't know. Like, that's not the attack. The like Crafty said here, the well-balanced offense that the Packers have. You got Josh Jacobs, you got Matthew Golden, you got Romeo Dobbs. Yes, who was it? Jaden Reed that was injured, or was that?
Yeah,
okay, Reed. So it was Jaden Reed. It sucks, but like you said, they still have guys who can contribute. And I mean, Tucker Kraft seems like an absolute monster at tight end, and Jordan Love is getting it to his guys. And I just can't see this team losing even in Cleveland. I'm going to go Packers 30, Browns 14. I'm giving them a 16-point win. And while that may be crazy to say, the Packers are unfortunately that good as a football team. I think they're going to dismantle the Browns, even though they're in Cleveland. And this might be a closer game at the end of the day, but regardless, Packers are winning.
Yeah, I heard it said best yesterday that the Packers are on they're on perfect track to lose to the 49ers in the NFC Championship.
Dude, please. I would love nothing more, but I think that was an Aaron Rodgers thing too.
I don't know. Jordan Love did it too. So
that's true. The interception over the middle. You're right.
The Bengals, they started 2-0, which is if you just saw the record, you would think the Bengals got off to a fast start, which could be true, I guess. They had 4 possessions in the second half in their first game, and it was, I think, 2 turnovers and 2 punts. And then Joe Burrow had like the least amount of passing yards in his career in a win. So the offense was like in shambles. All 17 points they got came off turnovers from Cleveland. And then the next week they play Jacksonville, and Joe Burrow is being carried up the field. And I remember saying, like, stay optimistic. Don't just go immediately to season ending. The way it looks right now is that Joe Burrow will be back for the final 4 to 5 games of the season. And when you look at it, that basically means in the next 12 weeks, the Bengals have to win 5 games. And the reason is because they started 2-0. And this is why that's so important. And I think the Bengals can win 5 of 12 with Jake Browning. And they proved it by Jake Browning taking over with a minute and a half left and needing a touchdown and taking his team down and getting one. So I'm personally kind of on the fence with the Bengals, but I'm also not in a high place with the Vikings right now. We have 8 quarters of JJ McCarthy, and one of them was good. JJ, I'm talking about Justin Jefferson, he's been not a factor, and that goes with TJ Hawkinson too. People are starting to wonder if TJ Hawkinson's not the same because of his injury. And it's just the offense looks terrible. And this game's at Minnesota, so you would think that gives them an extra kind of confidence bump. This is a hard one for me. I think the Vikings find a way to get it done at home. I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Yeah, and this is going to be just a game of backups because JJ McCarthy will not be playing Sunday, and obviously Jake Browning is in for Joe Burrow, who's going to be out till 4 or 5 games before the end of the season, like Kyle just said. So,
that's right.
I'm looking at defense, and the Vikings defense is a much better defense than the Bengals on paper, I guess I would say, because they gave up the Vikings gave up 22 points to the Falcons. They only scored 6. I mean, that was how you said, like that was bad JJ McCarthy offense right there. And you have a guy like Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson on that team, but it is just not clicking right now. I don't know if Carson Wentz is going to be able to make this offense click for the Vikings, but when you have a guy like Kevin O'Connell, you have confidence in him that he will be able to make Carson Wentz look good, or at least play to his strengths in this game. Going back to last year when Malik Willis was starting 2 games for the Packers, and a lot of people were writing Malik Willis off in those games with the Packers. And I think we said it here, like Matt LaFleur is a very good coach, and he's going to make Malik Willis not do anything that he can't do. And what happens? They win those 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, or at least they went 1-1. But regardless, Kevin O'Connell is in that same type of coach that you want a backup to be playing for if the game calls for it. And in this case, it does. So I'm going to trust Kevin O'Connell and Carson Wentz and that defense to take the dub against the Bengals at home. I agree, though. I think the Bengals, even with Jake Browning, up to the point where Burrow is supposed to get back, can win 5 games. And this is why it's important for the Bengals and really any team to start off hot. You know, the Bills last year or 2 years ago when it was week 18 and they had to beat Miami to win the division. You have to start off hot, and the Bengals luckily have. So they are 2-0, and they have some wiggle room to lose some games because their franchise quarterback is gone. And I think this is going to be one of those games that they lose just because I don't trust their defense as much. And Justin Jefferson and all those guys there, Aaron Jones, I think was limited in practice. I'm not too sure if he's going to play, but I trust that offense with the Vikings against this Bengals defense way more than I trust the Bengals offense against that Vikings defense. Give me the Vikings to win.
All right. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts, who are coming off a monster win at home thanks to leverage. They're 3.5 point favorites. Look, and the thing is like, yeah, was it a bullshit call? Absolutely. Leverage. Yeah, I mean, I saw a picture of every field goal that was attempted in that game, and there was somebody doing exactly that on every single play, and they call it on the last one. It's frustrating, but the Colts looked really good, and that is kind of what I want to make this more about, is that Daniel Jones looked incredible. And 3 years ago, I believe that was 3 years ago when Brian Dable was in his first season, and he was like, all right, I'm not gonna have you thrown it a bunch. And then like week 13, 14, he started throwing the ball, and he started looking good. And it ended with him going into Minnesota and beating Kirk Cousins in the playoffs and playing an incredible game. And that is why he got that $40 million a year deal was because of how he looked. And by the way, like, it's one of those things where we all kind of felt like he wasn't a 40 million guy, but at the same time, like, he played a really good game in the playoffs. Like, he had a great QBR. He threw the ball a ton. He was very accurate. Like, he beat that team. Like, he did it. So, we never saw that version of him again. And now here he is. Like, last year, they were so inaccurate on third down. Daniel Jones was. And then now it's like he's got a totally new mojo. He's got a better offensive line. He's got real weapons. Tyler Warren's looking like a guy. They also got Downs and Pittman. Pittman's becoming like the McLaurin of the NFL, just somebody that consistently puts up big numbers and doesn't get respected. This is like a real offense, and Daniel Jones is looking like Indiana Jones with his little whip. I think I'm on board right now with the Colts. Like, defensively, I mean, look, Bo Nix had 3 touchdown passes in the first half of this game. So, we really did beat ourselves. We missed a field goal that was a 40-yarder, and then the leverage thing. But they still, on the record book, look like a 2-0 team that just beat a good team. I just don't know how I feel defensively. Every year there's a team that's like undefeated at a certain point in the season, and then it all kind of comes crashing down. I see the Colts being the version of that this year, which means they're going to win this game at Tennessee. But gosh, something's telling me that it's not going to happen. And it's like, this is going to be my first upset. I'm going Titans here.
Woo!
I'm going to go Titans because we got to remember that there is a quarterback on the other side of this that has only played 2 football games. One was against the Broncos defense. They looked really good in that game. And the second one was against the Rams defense. This is a Colts defense that is going to allow Cam Ward to get his mojo for the first time, and that is going to be combined with the home crowd. I'm going to go with the Titans to finally get their ground game going and to finally get a win in the Cam Ward column. And I think a game ball for Cam Ward, his first NFL win. It's going to be a big moment for Tennessee.
I love that pick. I'm going to disagree with this one. I am going to take the Colts to beat the Titans in Tennessee. I'm really liking what the Colts are doing. Now, I say this with the thought in the back of my head of the Saints last year looked unstoppable in the first 2 weeks. They had the most points scored in the first 2 weeks of the NFL season, and it was probably 2 or 3 weeks. They had like 70, 80 points scored, and then what happened? They fell off a cliff. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen to the Colts, but I'm saying it might happen to the Colts. This might be the Saints of the 2025 season, right? But with Daniel Jones playing the way he is, Shane Steichen knowing he's on the hot seat, which, by the way, I'm starting Daniel Jones instead of Anthony Richardson because I'm on the hot seat. That makes total sense, which is something you and I have talked about. Like, know when to, cut your losses and go with, the right player. And I think that's what Shane Steichen did, regardless of an injury to Anthony Richardson or not. I think he would have gone with Daniel Jones, and look how it's paying off. Yeah. Daniel Jones looks like almost like he did 3 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago when he did play in that playoff game and beat Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. He looks good. I mean, we talk about going up against the Denver Broncos defense, and they had almost 500 yards of offense, if not close over that, whatever it was. Yes, they won on a leverage call, which was heartbreaking for you, I'm sure. But they look good with their offense. I mean, what's his name? Jonathan Taylor looks like a beast. He looks like the guy that they paid last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was. Again, Daniel Jones looks good. Tyler Warren looks like a top 10 pick, which he was. And this offense looks good, man. I mean, Michael Pittman Jr. looks like he's finally able to actually play like a wide receiver one. The defense is surprisingly decent. They do have some players on there, but I mean, it's nothing that's going to overwhelm anybody. Like, let's say a Broncos or Ravens defense, right? It's nothing like that, but it's decent. It's keeping them in games. And then the Titans, we really can't just disregard Cam Ward, because he has almost like come into the NFL and just been like, okay, sweet, this is another football game for me, and has just been able to do what he did in Miami. And a lot of the reason that they're losing is because, you know, wide receivers are dropping passes. They're going up against really good defenses too, so that's obviously a struggle. To go up against the Rams and the Broncos, your first 2 games of the season, that's a tough stretch for anybody, given how good both of those defenses are. But at home, again, it just doesn't seem like the offense is clicking right now for the Titans. And even though they are at home, I'm still going to give it to the Colts in this AFC South division matchup. I'm going to give it to the Colts, but I think with the home field advantage for the Titans, it's going to be a little bit closer than I think a lot of people are going to expect. And I'm going Cam Ward 2 touchdown passes in this game. But at the end of the day, Daniel Jones and the Colts make it happen. They take the dub.
Yeah, and they were in LA for the Rams game, correct?
No, they were at home.
They were at home?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, I was going to say, because then that would be a home opener. But
yeah.
Okay, next up, we got a divisional game in the NFC South, the Panthers and the Falcons. The Panthers are 5.5-point underdogs in this game. And like, for the record, I think the Falcons might be a good team this year. I mean, you look at the running game that they have with the multi-purpose back. I mean, you throw it out to they say, hey, we need to ban the tush push.
Yeah,
it's an unstoppable play.
Yeah,
so we saw the Bills try it twice in the AFC Championship game, and it didn't work once.
We saw the Bears do it against the Lions. It didn't work once.
We saw the Ravens. The Ravens tried to do it with their tight end, and Mark Andrews lined up under center. Couldn't get it done.
Nope.
So it's like the play shouldn't be banned because no one else is able to do it as good as the Eagles. You know, if you're going to ban that, it's like, okay, let's ban Derrick Henry lined up 8 yards deep in the I formation. That's too powerful of a running back.
They're too good. They're too good.
Let's stop Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson running a choice route on the linebacker on third down. Like, no. This is you got to be interested in finding a way to stop these players. And Bijan Robinson is becoming one of those players that it looks like it's unfair. Like, okay, how are we supposed to stop him going against the linebacker on a choice route? You can't. And that is turning into the Falcons' best draft pick in the last 15 years. Depending on how things pan out with Michael Penix, it could be their second best draft pick, but it is like Bijan Robinson is where CMC was 2 years ago, and CMC still in that category. For those of you that took a chance in drafting him this year, like me, it's paying off so far. Yeah, but I feel really good. And sorry, I hear. Oh, my phone's ringing.
Okay. I'll talk a little bit about this too, but like you said, man, Bijan is just doing beast things. Like you said, if you drafted him in your fantasy, the payoffs are immediate. And we got to remember too, kind of like the Michael Penix pick last year for the Falcons, to pick a running back early in the first round, like they did with Bijan. It was not looked at as well as it's being looked at now. And obviously this is kind of like the benefit of hindsight is, the Falcons made the right decision by picking up Bijan Robinson, and to an extent now, Michael Penix Jr. So, the draft is always a crapshoot. Kyle and I feel like we're always talking about that, but there's always some guys in that first round that are going to be stars. And, not only us, but everyone who watches the NFL has seen that first round talent generally turns into NFL stardom. And Bijan is no exception. Bijan has killed it really over these first couple weeks. I'm going to look up his stats because he's catching the ball. He's obviously doing really, really well running the ball. And let's see, 143 yards against the Vikings, only 24 against the Bucks, but he did have 6 receptions in that game. And I'm going to try to get all the stats here. Oh, there's no yardage on those. That's bullshit. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Maybe he didn't have the craziest game against the Bucks, but he did not end up scoring a touchdown there. Rushing, receiving, he did have one against the Bucks. He had 6 receptions for 100 yards and that touchdown. So regardless of where you're playing Bijan or where Bijan is playing in the offense, he's going to get his yards, scrimmage yards, whatever, rushing yards, receiving yards. So the Falcons with that offense, they're looking great. And honestly, now when you kind of look at the Michael Penix pick versus Kirk Cousins, I mean, it is a lot better, especially when you got a guy like Bijan who can do everything and anything in that offense. Now, the Panthers, on the other hand, they're looking like they are struggling, and they are struggling hard with Bryce Young at QB. I think they had lost against – do you remember who they lost against week 1? I forget who they lost against week 1, but the week 2 game against Arizona, it was looking a little closer there towards the end.
Tampa, right? Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Tampa.
Jacksonville. So
really?
Yeah, 26-10.
Falcons?
No, Carolina.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Falcons.
No, Panthers. But the Panthers, like, week 1 looked bad. Week 2 looked a little bit better, albeit it was against the Cardinals team that doesn't look impressive, like, really whatsoever. But they made it close. Like, Bryce Young was actually kind of going down the field, and it seemed like maybe they were going to get something going and even get the win against the Cardinals. But at the end of the day, they lose that. But I agree with you, Kyle. The Falcons look much, much better. The defense looks decent. It's not that great, though. I feel like there is some potential in that Falcons defense, and I feel like we've been saying that over the last 3 years. Like, there's potential for that defense to be dominant, but it's just not there yet. If they can really, 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 like, hone in on getting that defense to be very, very good, I mean, your offense is already stacked. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix Jr., which, by the way, Michael Penix is making Kyle Pitts look like the tight end that they drafted a few years ago. So he's actually making him a part of the offense, and it's just going to be so much better. So Panthers look like a team that is still finding its identity and doesn't necessarily trust its offense yet, even with Bryce Young at the helm there. So I think they should bench Bryce Young again and then bring him back in 5 games, and then he's just going to go off. But I'm taking the Falcons to take this dub against the Panthers.
Yeah, and nobody's been more disappointing than Xavier
Legit.
He's just been historically bad.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the injuries that the Carolina Panthers have had at the receiver position, losing Adam Thielen back to Minnesota, you thought like he was going to have to be the guy that steps up, and he has had the targets, but none of it's turned into yards or catches. So I'm very impressed with T-Mac, the first round draft pick out of Arizona.
Yeah.
Like, dude is the real deal, full package.
He is their offense right now.
He is their offense. Yeah. So I still think, though, that this is a lot of points for a team that might be good as far as the Carolina Panthers covering the spread. I like the Panthers at +5.5. I think it's a big spread to lay on the road for a team that might be good. I will say, though, that the defense, it looks like they're able to get pressure for the first time. And when they traded up in the draft to get James Pierce Jr., the Rams, they traded with the Rams at the end of the first round. People were like, okay. But he led all rookies in pressure week 1.
Nice.
So he's like become an immediate playmaker. And they also drafted Jalen Walker. So defensively, they're starting to get pressure if they can keep that up. But being at home, Bryce Young, we know what he's capable of. I like Falcons to win it in a close game. I think it's a 3-point win for the Falcons, not a 10-point win.
Yeah, and again, this is a divisional matchup too, and we know how tough those divisional matchups can be unless you're the Bears versus the Lions. Hopefully, James Pierce Jr. does play in this because he did not practice yesterday. I'm looking at the injury report right now because of a groin. And right now, with Jalen Johnson out for the Bears, I know that those groin injuries aren't really anything to kind of just like scoff at. So hopefully he does play because, like you said, if he's making that much of an impact as a rookie, he's going to continue to make an impact throughout his career.
All right. My don't touch it of the week. The Houston Texans going to Duval to take on Travis Hunter and Brian Robinson Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. Like the running back, he got traded to the 49ers.
So close. Close.
We don't do names here. You got ETN looking like somebody again. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Jaguars actually had the game won, and Jake Browning, the reason he was able to get the ball, a big reason he was able to get the ball like 40 yards down the field was a pass interference call on Travis Hunter, who is number 12, I believe, for the Jags, right? Travis Hunter, number 12.
I'm going to look that up right now.
Because when I watched the highlights, I saw number 12 give up a pass interference call on that game-winning drive. And
number 12.
So you hate to see that. It was kind of a tacky call. But on the other side, you like the Texans' defense. Despite the late second touchdown they gave up to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs last week, they pretty much held down that offense for the entire game. Really, the Texans lost that game because of coaching. They really should have kicked field goals when they were on the 2-yard line, whatever it was. You got to know what kind of game you're in. You're in a field goal, very important type of game. And had they made those field goals, they would have won this game. But they could not overcome the decision to walk away from those drives with 0 points. This is a game where they're going division rivalry. You're going on the road. You're 0-2, seeking your first win. But the vibes on the other end are pretty good. I actually saw the first video released in the locker room after a loss that I've ever seen. It's not typical that you see how a coach addresses his players after a loss. And Liam Cohen was talking to the team. And I really just like the vibes in Jacksonville right now. Like it's very family feeling. Like they're in it together. The vibes with Texans, they're not there right now. CJ Stroud is struggling. The offense is struggling to produce points. As good as the defense has been, the offense has been like, I mean, we're starting to see the comparisons of CJ Stroud's first season and then every game since then. And it's like the numbers are just not even close, even with the additional games of this year. So the Texans are just a team that's offensively struggling right now. The Jaguars are not such an elite defense that this isn't a spot the Texans can get it fixed. One of these teams is going to be 0-3 or 1-2 unless the Jaguars go 2-1. And I don't have a real feeling in this one. I'm going to go with Jacksonville at home. And I know people are going to say, I just don't see the Texans going 0-3. I don't either. But every single week it happens. Right now you got the Chiefs that are 0-2. Just add it to the list of weird and give Jacksonville the win at home for me.
Yeah, I know that the whole Texans at 0-3 looks weird, but like you said, people they couldn't believe that the Chiefs were going 0-2, and yet here we are in this season, right, at 0-2.
I did call it. I called the Chiefs starting 0-2.
But you had them winning last week.
I mean, when we were doing our division prediction.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what?
No. I did predict against myself last week, but overall,
but before that,
it's all the Chiefs as a struggling team, especially when they decided to do nothing offensively. We'll talk about them later.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more about the Texans just looking lost. CJ Stroud is looking like an Ohio State quarterback, unfortunately. 0 success in the NFL for those guys. But yeah, he has quickly come down to earth. He has completed less than 20 passes so far in his first 2 games this season, and has eclipsed 200 yards once. It's 2 weeks. We'll see how he does against the Jaguars. But if the Monday Night Football game against the Bucs is any indication as how the offense is going to operate, this is a bad game for them. Nico Collins is their offense right now, and that's if CJ Stroud is able to get him the ball. Chubb looked like he still has some gas left in the tank, but if that's your RB1, you're going to struggle. Like, Chubb doesn't look the same anymore. He just doesn't. Like,
unless he broke out with that last touchdown, right?
Exactly.
Maybe that was his breakout. I don't know.
I think maybe it is. I mean, and football players, like really anybody, kind of need that sort of like good game, that attaboy, whatever, to gain that confidence, to continue. And we'll see if that is enough for Chubb and the Texans to get it going. But the Jaguars, like you said, I like the vibes a little bit more. And coming off a loss against Jake Browning and that semi-bad Bengals defense, I think the Jaguars are going to want to prove something at home against their division rival. Look for Travis Hunter to get his first touchdown of the season too. I'm going to pick the Jags to win this one. I'm going to go 24. I know I'm not doing scores for all the games, but I'm going to go 24-13 Jaguars over the Texans at home.
Wow. And that is definitely not where I'm at in the realm of scores. But I will say, like, I see this as like a 17-20 game. But the final chives I'll put on this game is that the big reason the Texans are struggling is their offensive line. And you saw them send Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders. That's turning out to be a season crippling decision from the Texans. And the Jaguars, if you ever are in a toss-up like I am with this game, just look at the trenches, all right, and say who's going to dominate the line of scrimmage. And the Jaguars do have the defensive line to make life miserable for CJ Stroud in this game. They have the guys that can exploit the biggest weakness. And I think when you got CJ Stroud, who is kind of desperate to get the offense going downfield, I think it's going to turn into another game where they're checking down over and over and over. A lot of 3-and-outs in this game, and it's up to Trevor Lawrence to get on the same page with Brian Thomas Jr. and their Travis Hunter. Like, it should be an emphasis this week that the offense needs to get going. And if that happens, I can see your score. I really can. But if it's going to be kind of like what we've seen up to this point, I see it being like a 17-20 game. Because remember, Texans defense is a very tough defense to try to get your offense going against.
That's what I was going to say too. Like that kind of completely escaped me, just because I'm thinking back now to that Monday night game against the Bucs. And I was like, well, the Bucs struggled. And I was like, why did they struggle? Oh yeah. The Texans defense is really fucking good. And I think that's what they got there. What they have to hang their hat on right now is their defense. And their head coach is like, as long as our defense is very good, we're going to be in games. It's just now up to our offensive coordinator to get some stuff going for the offense. And we got Ginger in the chat.
Let's go.
Love
Still
you too.
Phone?
Still no phone on his nephew's. Yeah, on his nephew's tablet. I was wondering. I was like, that's a different icon for Ginger's name. He also got Crafty and Caesar in the chat as well. Thank you guys for being here.
I was hoping he would get it back. That sucks. But he was like, fuck that phone the whole time. He's like, dude, I don't care about the phone. I'm like, okay.
He's like, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah. I'm like, if you got a good attitude about it, I got a good attitude about it.
There we go. There we go.
Now, this is a game where if the team loses, no one's going to have a good attitude about it. The Rams are 2-0 and the Eagles are 2-0. So both teams want to continue to be undefeated. This is going to be a good one. And this is going to be one of 2 game of the weeks for me. The Rams and the Eagles. This could be an NFC championship game. I'm not kidding about this. Rams defense, it looks good on paper. 28 points allowed so far. I think the the thing with the Eagles is they don't look as dominant as they did last year. And this was predictable because I valued Kellen Moore, maybe more than most. And I thought, I don't know if you can lose a guy like that and just pick up where you left off. And they've struggled a little bit. They've also struggled with the DB number 2 after letting, was it Gardner Johnson leave? And I know they got a lot of guys that can play nickel, but when you're talking, I got a guy on the outside one-on-one. They don't have that second guy that can do that. So the between those two spots, like they're not the same Eagles as they were last year. And the Rams have looked like a decent team. I expected them to look even better than they have been. But look who they played in the opening games. Like, it hasn't been that much of a challenge for the Rams. Very easy schedule to start the season. Now they have their real first test with the Eagles, who've won 18 of their last 19 games, and that's including the postseason. Now, after 2 weeks, the road teams are 16-16 right now.
Ooh.
That's pretty good for a typical season. The road team would have a much worse record. So the home field advantage, not as much of a factor this year. You know what? I'm going to take the Rams in a 30-27 victory.
Wow.
I think Matthew Stafford has another. Dude, I saw him make a throw to Devontae Adams. That might be the throw of the last 2 years. I mean, he was in the pocket and he went like this and like sidearmed it. Mm-hmm. And the linebacker was here and the DB was here. And Devontae was between them both running full speed. And the ball was like 1 inch out of the reach of the linebacker, 1 inch inside of the DB. It was dude, if he can throw the ball like that, then this team can go to the Super Bowl. And I mean that. And I think this is the exact type of game the Rams are begging for, because they want to show the world that they're for real. And what better way to do it than to go on the road and beat the Super Bowl champions?
That would be impressive. And you're right. Both of these teams haven't looked like that great offensively. The defenses have looked a little bit better, but I mean, Eagles defense still gave up like 30 something points, almost 40 points to the Cowboys in week 1. That was without Jalen Carter, which was, I would say, a big factor, especially when Javonte Williams had 2 touchdowns in that game and looked good. And Javonte Williams so far through 2 weeks has looked pretty good too. But the defenses are definitely going to be, I think, the main storyline in this game. I don't know if it's going to get to 30 points for each team, just because of the competition that they've gone up against. I mean, Jalen Hurts has thrown for less than 300 yards through 2 games. That's not something you expect from, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, right? But they're 2-0. And at the end of the day, kind of how we were talking about with the Bengals, you start off hot, so that way later on into the season, you do have some wiggle room. And this may be already early in the season, some wiggle room for both of these teams. I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going to go with the Eagles to go 3-0 and the Rams to go 2-1. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be like 24-21. I just don't – I love the Rams defense, but I think the stacked offense for the Eagles is much better than the offense that the Rams have against the Eagles defense. But we've seen the Eagles defense kind of struggle a bit, especially against the Cowboys, who have just a ridiculous offense as well. I think it's going to be like a 24-21 game. I'm going to take the Eagles at home, but don't think that this is another game. Don't think that this is just going to be like the Eagles are up 24-10 going to the 4th or something like that. I think throughout the game, this is going to be like maybe a last minute type of field goal for the Eagles to take the dub against the Rams at home.
I like it. And this next game, I'm actually really looking forward to. The New York Jets going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Jets are 7-point underdogs in this game.
Wow.
Tyrod Taylor, he is a gem. Like he's been kicking around the league for 15 years now. It makes us all feel old. He's played for 7 teams. He's 36 years old. But he's been waiting, I think, for an ideal moment to unleash his greatness, which is what I knew he was capable of. He was actually really good, and it's just been injuries, unfortunate injuries. I remember when he looked really good with the Chargers, I think he had that neck injury. And
yeah, that was a scary one. Yeah.
It was a really scary injury, and I think this might be the day. This is my upset of the week.
Wow.
This is my upset of the week. And I remember last year, Buccaneers 2-0, coming off an impressive win at home. And in come Denver, and Denver was able to beat them. And I believe they played the Lions. Maybe it was a Monday night game. I can't remember. Actually, I don't think that's true. But the Bucs are coming off a short week, right? They played Monday night.
Yeah.
This is the perfect spot. This is where you want your underdogs. You got an 0-2 team seeking their first win with a quarterback coming in that you do trust on a team that's 2-0 on a short week. This is exactly the perfect storm for my upset. And I will call this upset 10 out of 10 times because I'm going to be right 8 out of 10 of them. This is going to be, for me, the Jets +7. I wouldn't take Jets money line, but if you made me, I'll do it. I'll take the Jets twice. I'll take them to win the game as well as the +7, with the +7 being my obvious favorite. But is there a more feisty, just gritty quarterback in the NFL than Baker Mayfield? I mean,
yeah.
When it comes to, did you see where he was injured and then some guy was talking shit and he decided not to be injured and then to stand up and start jawing in his face? He's like, you know what, my leg hurt, but not anymore.
I like how you said that. Remember when he was injured and then he decided that he wasn't going to be injured and just started talking shit?
Dude, I love Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
For the second week in a row, he pulled out a victory in the final seconds. I don't want us to lose sight of that the Buccaneers, yes, are 2-0, but they very easily could be an 0-2 team at this point. I think it takes a toll on you. I think it's a little bit of a reset for Tampa this week.
Yeah, I could see that. And the Bucs are honestly, like, even with Baker over the last couple of years, like, they're always good for like a loss where you're just like, it's a head scratcher almost, right? It's
the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. This is the top talent, baby. Remember last year, what was it? The Falcons and the Bucs. I think, was it Monday Night Football, where they each scored like 50 points and Kirk Cousins had like 500 yards passing, and then Kirk Cousins won the game. The Falcons won the game last year, where it was just like, holy crap. And it was early in the season because Kirk Cousins was starting. So it was early in the year.
I think Kirk Cousins, but the 2 games he played in Tampa, he had like combined almost 1,000 yards passing.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I remember that one being in Atlanta and then later on in Tampa. Yeah, he had crazy numbers against the Bucs. What I will say about this game is that the Jets are coming in like limping because they have so many guys on the injury list. I mean, Justin Fields isn't going to be the quarterback. You had mentioned Tyrod Taylor coming in, and while you do trust a guy like that who's been around in the NFL, I don't know how much better he is going to be than Justin Fields. And this isn't even saying that Justin Fields is like an elite quarterback. Like, that's how much. If Tyrod Taylor can do it, sick. Maybe he can continue to get the ball to Garrett Wilson, and this offense can keep moving with Breece Hall, right? Like, maybe they can continue that offense that we saw in week 1 that looked really, really good. I don't trust their offense, and right now their defense is also untrustworthy. Whereas the Bucs, their defense is on the up and up, man. I mean, through the first 2 weeks, I trust their defense way more than the Jets right now. And the offense, you had mentioned Baker Mayfield. That guy's gritty. That guy is a monster. I think the Bucs go 3-0 heading into week 4. And while I understand that it's a short week, what quarterback wouldn't you want more than Baker Mayfield on a short week, right? Like, we talked about his grittiness. We talked about him getting injured and then being Josh Allen, right? Like, okay, maybe he's up there though. But, good point. Lamar Jackson, probably Joe Burrow, not Trevor Lawrence. That guy gets hurt and he's bad.
But we do have Josh Allen on a very short week today.
True, that's very true. I just like Emeka Egbuka, like Mike Evans.
Egbuka, man, he is.
Egbuka, oh my God, he's a monster. What Ohio State wide receivers? Yes. Ohio State quarterbacks? No.
and the best one, apparently, all the Ohio State greats are all agreeing that none of them even come close to what Jeremiah Smith is.
Yeah, because he was a freshman last year and he broke out, right?
Yeah, like he's supposed to be. I'm not kidding. Like if Jamar Chase was like here, he's supposed to be. But I'm like, how is there even room for that? Like we're talking Jerry Rice at this point.
Yeah.
And that's like what that. I mean, God, whoever gets Jeremiah Smith. But yeah, Ohio State's a wide receiver factory at this point.
Yeah, them and LSU are like top 2 right now in wide receivers. So, yeah, I've got to take the Bucs, especially with their win against the Texans, against a very, very tough defense. Unless the Jets defense can like somehow awaken in week 3 and just be the dominant force that they've been the last 2 or so seasons, I got to take the Bucs at home. And I feel like I'm picking all the home teams, but there's been a couple of away teams that I've picked as well. But I got to take the Bucs at home against the Jets team that is just got like half their players on the IR right now. So I'm going Bucs to take it at home.
All right. Now, before we get to Sunday Night Football, because we have 3 more games in the 4 o'clock window, I want to say the Chiefs are playing the Giants in the Sunday Night Football column. But between our next 2 games, we're going to address the AFC West altogether. And they are kind of all within striking distance because the Chargers are 2-0. The Broncos and the Raiders are 1-1. And then, of course, the Chiefs are 0-2. Wow. But depending on how these next 2 games shape out for you and for me, the AFC West is going to be clear. Now, how is this going to work? Well, first off, I have the Raiders taking an L to the Commanders. And when this prediction started, the AFC West, you had Nick Wright have, Denver was 4th, the Chiefs were 1st, the Chargers were 3rd, and the Raiders were 2nd. Wow. And the Raiders were a playoff team. And I was like beside myself. Like, how can somebody be that just willfully ignorant? Not even like you want to just start a fire with that, right? The Raiders, I mean, it's like, I get it, but like we saw this team win 10 games last year and go to the playoffs, and they added weapons and defensively they look great. And still I was like, okay, well, if the Raiders if you're right about this, like maybe, I don't know, maybe you have like a magic 8 ball or something. Like I can't imagine the scenario where you are, but last week the Raiders played the Chargers, and that was kind of the moment where I was like, I'm going to find out if that magic 8 ball is really, if the Raiders beat the Chargers, then all right, like maybe there's something going on. But no, the Raiders didn't. And the Raiders didn't even look remotely close to beating the Chargers. And the Chargers, they didn't look like, to me, a team that was that difficult to beat. Like they flew around on defense, they played physical, but I saw a ton of 3-and-outs. I saw a ton of balls that could have been intercepted. Justin Herbert in the offense did not look like that great. And I'm surprised by this because when I turned the TV on the next day, almost everybody was talking about how good Justin Herbert is this year. And I watched the whole game. I did not see, like, if anything, that defense is incredible. So I'm happy that this is all going to get sorted out here. But I think with the Broncos Chargers being our next game, this game is going to be one of those where we can pause on the Raiders talk, because after they lose this game, it'll be that they have only beaten the Patriots. And I emphasize that the Commanders can't lose this game. If the Commanders lose this game, it is going to be chaos, because this is a team that went to the NFC Championship game. And now you have 2 weeks in a row where Jaden Daniels has been taking a beating. He has been sacked 7 times. He's been hit 17 times in 2 games. And the Packers is one thing, But if you let the Raiders and Max Crosby come into your home and absolutely dismantle your offense and win a gritty, close game, the Commanders are going to be on the panic, the fast road to panicking. And I don't know if the Commanders will go as far as they did last year if they lose a game like this. So they might want to protect their quarterback a little, and maybe the Commanders can have a get-right game against the Raiders, and that's what I'm going to predict. I'm going to predict the Commanders win this game 31-14.
Oh, big win for the Commanders. Now, we got to remember that Jayden Daniels right now is still iffy. He had a knee issue against the Packers in week 2 in that Thursday Night Football, but luckily for him,
he'll play.
Yep.
I'll don't count on it.
Yeah.
Don't count on it.
I'm gonna keep shaking until I get the answer I want. So we're still waiting because it's been a longer week. So obviously he's had, the extra 3 days of rest to kind of get back to healthy status. And honestly, I think Jayden Daniels is gonna play, although I think he should not, because coming into the league, there was a lot of talk about him being kind of on the scrawnier side. Still a tall dude, still fast, still like can take a hit and get right back up. But that's a guy you do want to protect regardless of whether he's super strong, Josh Allen, type, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow type, or on the scrawnier side, like your Jayden Daniels or even like your Bryce Youngs. Like, you still want to be able to protect your guy. And right now with Laramie Tunsil also not practicing on Wednesday, that's not a very good outlook for the Commanders. So I totally agree with you that they need to protect their guy, whether it is Jayden Daniels or whether it's Marcus Mariota at this point, right? Depending on who's going to play on Sunday, they need to make sure they protect their guy against a Max Crosby and against the rest of that defense. Now going to the Raiders side, against the Chargers, they looked lost. Like, Genty looks good. I don't think he's going to really miss a step between college and the NFL. He broke out some really good runs. I think he looks like an NFL running back right now in his, after 2 games in the NFL. I think he looks really good. The Raiders made the correct call in picking him up in the draft. Geno Smith, I don't know. And the Pete Carroll offense, I just don't know about that offense right now. And like what's that?
I was like Chip Kelly, because he's like calling the plays, and he's like been a failed head coach, and now he's like,
especially in the NFL.
Yeah, no, he's been good in college. It's just, some coaches are just college. Pete Carroll, ironically, is like one of the few that was able to, in Harbaugh.
And Harbaugh, yeah.
Two guys in the same division right now have been able to kind of like be good in both, but it's not common. Even Nick Saban,
struggled with the Dolphins.
And I think he'll be in the NFL soon. So,
yeah, 100%. And with all that being said, I didn't really like what I saw against the Chargers. I think the Commanders are going to win this game. Again, regardless of if it's Mariota or Jayden Daniels, I think they're going to win this game. I don't know if they're going to win big like that. I can see them score 27 points, and I can see that decent-ish defense on the Commanders holding the Raiders to 17. I think Genty gets another touchdown. I think Geno's able to connect with another Jacoby Myers.
He looked bad.
He looked so bad. Yeah, very inaccurate. Like, a lot of stuff short, like nothing really over 20 yards. I feel like
he threw 5 turnover worthy plays in the end zone, and I think 2 of them were intercepted. I mean, like, he's not protecting the ball in the most important parts of the field too.
100%. I think the Commanders are going to be able to take advantage of that. Look for their cornerback Sainris still to be able to take advantage of a bad thrown ball by Geno Smith. I'm taking the Commanders 27-17, but maybe the Raiders can get to 20-21. Regardless, the Commanders are winning this game. And real quick, Jinja, what did we call the zone inside the 10? I think it was the hot zone, right?
Yeah, the hot zone.
The red zone, the hot zone, and then inside the 5, it was the
point of no return.
The point of no return. Yes. See, Kyle's got the better memory than I do, Ginger. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I stopped smoking weed.
Oh my God, maybe I should. But yeah, Commanders with the dub.
Commanders with the dub. Okay, now the Broncos and the Chargers, and this is an early indicator of which team is going to be the one to end Kansas City's 9-year reign as the NFC West champions. And I knew that going into the year because on paper, these were two teams that were better than the Chiefs, and that is bold to say, but it's just a matter of fact. Like the Kansas City Chiefs had the 15th ranked offense last 2 years in a row in points per game, and they did nothing at receiver. They were like, okay, Juju Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown, that we're going to go with that. And it's like, when's the last time they gave you a consistent season? You got to go back to like 2018. And then on the flip side, they got a couple guys that are like a second round pick from the Patriots that has like 2 catches on his career, and then 3 undrafted wide receivers, and then Hollywood Brown, or Xavier Worthy, who has been out. So it was like they were in a situation where if you look at Mahomes' passing chart, he's just dinking and dunking. He can't push the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And this offense is struggling. And on the other side, with the Chargers and the Broncos, like this should be 2-0 versus 2-0. Okay. But there's a leverage call. I think a lot of people would look at this game differently if that leverage call wasn't called. And it would be, we got 2 undefeated AFC West teams playing. I'm going to look at it that way because Sean Payton's going to have our guys ready to play. This game is going to be really important. I looked at the Colts and how they played defensively against the Miami Dolphins. And they played really good. I mean, Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle were shut down in that game. So the Colts defensively are not a bad team. Like they have a good defense. And I think that might be one of the surprising things of the year for me is the Colts in general, good defense, and they're playing great offense. But the Broncos still had 3 touchdown passes in the first half of this game. And there was multiple times where Bo Nix, like he looked really good in real life. And I'll tell you, as a person that was in the stadium, almost every couple of throws, a Colts fan just looked back at me and went, and I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, it's when you're watching it in real life, it's so obvious that they have their franchise quarterback. Like he looked amazing. He had 1 interception. It was a bad interception, but the ball was tipped. So it looked a lot worse than it was because he didn't throw the ball where it ended up. It was tipped there. So I love seeing Troy Franklin. Like Troy Franklin had like 8 catches for 100+ yards and a touchdown. He is taking a huge second-year jump. He had more targets than Courtland Sutton. So I like that the offense kind of got a mojo in this game. Disappointed that they couldn't score in the fourth quarter. They should have at least gotten 3, what is that, doink?
Oh, yeah, doinks.
We heard that echo through the whole stadium. I'm like, I'm like,
yeah.
What was that? It was like some voodoo going on.
How do you do that?
Late in the fourth quarter, something was weird. And I think it might be because I was there. I'm not going to lie. But I won't be at this game. And I think that the Denver Broncos are the better defense. I think this is a get-right moment. I think PS2 had an uncharacteristically bad game. It was he gave up the most catches in his career. I don't think he's a bad DB, all of a sudden. I think that the Colts were able to exploit there are only a couple of teams that can exploit Denver's weaknesses, and it's teams that have an elite tight end. And that is what Tyler Warren has proven himself to be. Yeah. And there's the Ravens, there's the Colts, there's like Buffalo. But this type of game, this is a league of matchups, and the Chargers don't have the right matchups to exploit us. We actually match up very good against the Chargers. Even if you have the Chargers winning this game, it's going to be very, very, very close. But I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos to win this game, be number 1 in the division at 2-1, and the Raiders to lose and to be 1-2. So it'll be Denver 2-1, Chargers 2-1, Raiders 1-2, Chiefs 1-2.
Ooh, Kyle's calling it. Kyle is calling it. This is a tough one for me. Both of these defenses are good because just of the youth on each side, the proven dominance that the Broncos have had over the last couple of years. And both of these defenses have had, bad games. I would say not bad in the sense where you're giving up like 52 points like the Bears defense. Nowhere near that. You're not touching that bad. I'm talking about the Chargers defense against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, giving up 21 points to what seems to be a very bad Kansas City offense right now. And the Denver Broncos last week against the Colts, where they gave up a pretty big lead, in that second half. So those are the kind of the two games I'm looking at where I'm like, all right, we still don't know enough, but we can still know enough to know that these defenses are good. It's just, they're going to have bad games. You are going to hate me, Kyle, but I'm going to take the Chargers to win at home. I think Herbert is looking good so far through these first 2 weeks. And this is what Herbert does, man. This is what he does. He looks really good in the regular season. It's just when the playoffs get here, it's tough to tell. The offense for the Denver Broncos, though, I'm liking more. I'm liking Troy Franklin kind of, emerging now after getting rid of Vele over the offseason or before the season started. I feel like that was a big confidence boost to Franklin, being like, hey, we know Vele was kind of one of those guys in the middle of last season where he kind of emerged, but we're going to trade him for a couple picks. And now you're going to be our 3 or our 2, right? Troy Franklin.
Yeah. Turning into the 2. And it's because he had such a great camp. Like he was, there's always one player that you see during your off season that is like, and on defense, it was our pass rusher,
Benito?
Not Benito. We just drafted him last year. Jonah Ellis.
Jonah Ellis, yeah.
And he's like, he had such a great camp. I'm like, why are we not seeing him more? When we do see him, he gets sacks. So like, Troy Franklin and Jonah Ellis were 2 guys that we knew, and that's why Bailey, like you said, got traded.
Yeah. So I think, Troy Franklin, Bo Nix, it's similar to what we saw the first couple of weeks between Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields. Like that connection is there from college, and they're going to continue to keep that connection. RJ Harvey has been better. I don't know what to really make of the running game yet still. But you guys, from what I've seen on the offensive line, what I've seen the stats wise, you guys are both either top 10 or top 6, top 5 in run block win and pass block win rate. So that offensive line is still really, really good for the Broncos. Now on the other side with the Chargers, who's Surtain going to cover? McConkey or Quentin Johnston, who just seems to come out of nowhere and become an actual wide receiver 1 this year, it seems like. And, so that offense is looking good. I am going to take the Chargers at the end of it. At this point of the season right now, week 3, I'm liking Herbert more than Bo Nix. The turnovers, especially in week 1, were an issue. And I mean, a tipped pass last week against the Colts. That's just that's things like that shouldn't be a quarterback stat. It should be like, well, I mean, I threw it on target. It just got tipped and it got intercepted, So those things right there isn't necessarily like on Bo Nix, but the turnovers right now are kind of an issue with Bo Nix. So I'm going to go with Herbert and the Chargers to take the dub. But I agree. I think it's the leverage call against the Broncos last week. It sucked and they should be 2-0. Sorry, Ginger. But that's just the way the ball goes sometimes. So, but yeah, Chargers at home to take the dub.
And did you see the sideline thing with Bo Nix and Sean Payton? It's like surfaced where it's like last year's shouting match happening. So basically every time Nix flips the play and it doesn't convert, they end up screaming at each other on the sideline. But
it's like that toxic relationship. They love each other, but they yell at each other.
Exactly. But they said it was nothing. He said it's loud in the building. You couldn't hear me, so I had to turn around and say it loud. I'm like, okay.
I don't know. I think it's like I think Sean Payton is just a fiery guy, man. I think when
they both are.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if you kind of have that back and forth like that, and you your first year as a rookie, you did that and you went to the playoffs, like that should continue into your second year and probably your career, because if you're making a good point and you're making plays, like what's the problem?
It's just like, in the Navy, when they would say, look, I don't care if you do something, if you have a big why, just tell me why you did what you did,
Exactly.
And that's all Sean wants out of him. Just tell me why you did that. Okay, we'll go through these ones pretty quick. All right. Mm-hmm. The longest one being the Bears, because I want to give you a little extra time with that. So the Bears, obviously, we talked about it a couple times. Bad week last week. The Dallas Cowboys going into Chicago. As long as Dak stays healthy, and they got Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys are going to have a chance to win most games. The same can't be said for the Bears right now. Nope. They look good at times with Caleb Williams. I like what I'm seeing out of Rome Odunze, which is, I took the over on his yards last week. But it's just not good enough. And that is why I'm picking the Bears to get their first win of the season.
Ooh.
I got the Bears winning 26-24. And if they lose this game, they're going to be 0-3. I feel like they're playing for their season. I know that sounds bold, but they can. 0-3. Look at the statistics of how many of those teams go on to make the playoffs, and they know that the Cowboys can afford to go 1-2. The Bears can't afford to go 0-3. I'm going with the home team that is fighting for their life.
I love it. This is America's game of the week. Apparently, it's the 125 start, at least on the West Coast. So this is the America's game of the week. It shouldn't be. Real quick, because after that performance from the defense last week with the Bears, that is just like not worthy of it. But the Cowboys have been good offensively, at least. And that game last week against the Giants was like phenomenal. They go into overtime. Brandon Aubrey kicks the game-winning field goal. The game tying 1-2, like that offense for the Cowboys looks good. Even going in week 1, going up against that Eagles team, the offense looks good. And it seems like to a lot of people's surprise, especially mine, I know bringing in George Pickens, you got Jake Ferguson, and of course you got CeeDee Lamb, and then you're running back at Javonte Williams. We didn't expect much from the Cowboys, and it seems like they took that outside noise and were like, all right, watch. And again, the offense looks like it's clicking. The offensive line is doing its best to protect Dak, and Dak is just doing Dak things during the regular season. He's still getting the ball out. He's getting a shit ton of yards. He's getting touchdowns. He's getting it to CeeDee Lamb. The offense looks like it is working and like a fine-tuned machine right now. The defense without Micah Parsons is definitely struggling. When you give up 40 points to Russ and Malik Neighbors, like Malik Neighbors is elite, but Russ is clearly on the downside of his career. That's rough as a defense, especially too when you give up so many points to the Eagles as well.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing. On the other side with the Bears, Caleb Williams, week 1 and week 2, it wasn't necessarily night and day, but it was like night and dawn, or it's like, all right, Caleb Williams is really starting to get it. And that connection with Rome is special. It really is. It's very good. You saw it kind of start to culminate last year as a rookie. They both got their first touchdown from a throw to Caleb to Rome. So that was really special. But this year, it just seems like it is just going to keep getting better with time. And that's his number 1 wide receiver. It's not DJ Moore. So I think the offense is going to be fine. The running game still needs to, Ben Johnson needs to do something with that running game. And DeAndre Swift, from all the shit he gets, clearly he's not a running back. Like, he's not a 3-down back. Monangai, I don't know either, but Roschon Johnson, get him in those 3rd and 1s, those 4th and 1s that you try to convert with a quarterback sneak last week. Roschon Johnson is your power back. That is why he's there. Don't continue the same mistakes from last year with Shane Waldron. The defense is the biggest question mark for the Bears right now. Jalen Johnson's going to be out for a while. Oh my God, what's his name? TJ Edwards, our linebacker, got hurt again. Maybe Noah Sewell comes in and he seemed like a firecracker. Tyreek Stevenson has played like absolute dog shit these first 2 weeks. And this is just a continuation of his season last year after that Commanders fail on his end. So the defense is a huge question mark. Can we get any pressure on the quarterback, Dak? with our 4 linemen. If not, bring somebody else in. Whether Kyler Gordon's going to be in this game or not is going to be dependent on what his injury status is coming into Sunday. But I think he's close. And Kyler Gordon is probably one of the guys that is best at rushing the quarterback as a nickel. You know what I mean? Like he can be disruptive. So in
that's
order
like
for
your biggest weakness, because the Bears have the 32nd ranked pass defense, and they
So bad.
are out with their number 1 corner. Jalen Johnson's out indefinitely. So Kyler Gordon, it's like, dude, like if you can't go, what are we going to do?
Exactly. Like he is our second best corner. And that's that coming into this year, you were looking at Tyreek Stevenson to really take that step, and he hasn't. The guy, Nashawn Wright, that we got from Dallas, that had that pick six. Yeah, exactly. Against McCarthy. It looks like he's our next best corner, but him and Tyreek on CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, I think Dak is just going to have a field day, and it's going to be tough.
Tyreek Stevenson has a breakout game.
Oh God, I hope so.
I'm calling it right now.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. And it would just make his stock go up. So as bad as he's been, if that does happen, his stock goes up. So really you're looking at a buy stock on Tyreek Stevenson right now type of game, but they need to prove it out on the field. I'm not picking against my Bears ever again because I love how Kyle never picks against his Broncos. And I was like, you know what? I'm a fan of my fucking team. And whether they lose, I'm going to be here regardless. So I'm picking the Bears to win this game. I think Caleb has another good game, and it just keeps inching forward and forward and forward to him really getting into that elite quarterback status that Bears fans have been longing for for 40 years now. I'm going to take the Bears to win at home, get their first win of the season. I'm going to go 24-21 Bears. Bear down, baby.
Yeah, never
Bear
underestimate a desperate team. Never underestimate a desperate team at home.
Exactly.
And plus, we've seen Caleb Williams pull one of these out of his ass every now and then.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. All right, let's see it next week.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm excited for this game. I don't actually mind it being America's Game of the Week because, the Bears and Cowboys, it just sounds like 2 historic teams going at it. So
yeah.
Okay, we'll make these last couple pretty quick because the Cardinals and the 49ers are both undefeated. So maybe we're disrespecting both of them, but I don't think the Cardinals 2-0 is as good as the Niners 2-0 simply because the Niners are 2-0 without Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy didn't play last week. I didn't think that would be a factor in them getting a win, and it wasn't. I don't trust the 49ers offense at all right now, but I do trust their defense a lot more than Kyler Murray and how inconsistent the Cardinals have been on offense, at least at the moment. And Marvin Harrison Jr., we're still waiting for him to take that. Where is he? I mean, but I trust Mac Jones more than I trust Kyler Murray in this matchup. And I can't believe I'm saying this. This is insane. But Mac Jones played really well in week 2. It's not a surprise. We talked about it. Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Sean Payton.
He's one of those.
These are these guys that are like, okay, well, let me just get what the quarterback does well on tape and we'll do that. Let's play the karaoke song that you know the words to. And this is what Kyle Shanahan has been doing for quarterbacks since he got there. So I like Robert Saleh's defense to make things difficult for the Cardinals offense that are looking for consistency. And I think Mac Jones plays well enough to give the 49ers a win in what will be their home opener. So we have to remember that as well. I'm going Niners with another 17-23. Give me 23 for CMC.
Hell yeah.
And we'll go for, I'll give them 17-23.
All right. I like it. I'm also going with the 49ers. Like you said, Kyle Shanahan, Mac Jones, he's able to do that with these backups. And Sam Darnold was there with him 2 years ago as well. And look what Darnold was able to do last year. Now he's a $100 million quarterback in Seattle because of going from Shanahan to Kevin O'Connell to now with Mike McDonald. So you kind of like that. The Cardinals, man, they've played 2 games against probably the 2 worst teams in the NFL, the Panthers and the Saints, and they've been close games. I mean, you saw Carolina almost come back against that defense. And again, the Cardinals did bring in some guys from the defense. in the offseason, but it just like they're older, they're slower, they're more prone to injury. It just seems like the Cardinals are like the most fraudulent 2-0 team so far. I'm going 49ers to take this dub. Brock Purdy has a slight chance to play, but even if he doesn't, I am definitely taking Mac Jones and Kyle Shanahan over the Cardinals at home. Give me the 49ers.
All right, and staying in the division, we got the Saints 0-2 at the Seahawks 1-1. The Saints are not good, but they have played 2 one-score games out of the gate. And I'm going to actually take the Saints plus 7.5 here. Seattle is 1-7 straight up and 1-6-1 against the spread at home, dating back to the start of last October. So there's no way that I'm laying those points for the Seahawks to win by 7.5. Not even close. So I'm going to go with Kellen Moore to have his guys ready. I think Seahawks get the win, but I think it's another close game because they're a well-coached team. The Saints will play their first road game of the season, and I think the game will be Seahawks win, not by more than 7.5. They might win by 7, but not 7.5.
Yeah, I got to take the Seahawks as well. Their offense looked a lot better, and again, being biased, I'm in Washington and I really do like when the Seahawks are good. And I got a lot of buddies who are Seahawks fans. I'm thinking the Seahawks to win. Their defense looks good. Obviously they're going to miss Julian Love and, oh my God, their cornerback Witherspoon. They didn't practice yesterday. So I think their status is still up in the air, but even without those guys, yeah, I think they're still going to be able to take the dub against a very weak Saints offense, even though they've been putting up some good numbers offensively in terms of points. But Spencer Rattler, Alvin Kamara is like getting the majority of that workload. Like week 3, Alvin Kamara is probably fucking tired and beat up. So and Spencer Rattler is he's doing okay. He's doing a lot better than I think a lot of us expected, especially after last year, but by a slim margin. Like he's not, like shaking or moving necks and being like, oh my God, that guy, that's Spencer Rattler. I'm taking the Seahawks to take another dub at home, and they're going to be 2-1 after week 3.
All right, 2-1 after week 3. I like it. I'm going to take us to Sunday Night Football, where the Chiefs are 0-2. I don't see them falling to 0-3, and the Giants have looked like 2 completely different teams in their 2 games. So it's kind of a weird game. I don't know if it matters when you're playing a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, because it's like, okay, the Chiefs, as bad as they are, they played the Chargers and the Eagles. So we have to keep it in context. These aren't like bad teams that the Chiefs have lost to. They're just better than the Chiefs are. And those are top 5 teams. So I'm not going to overthink this one. I'm going to take the Chiefs here. The Giants I don't think the Giants are good, but last week against Dallas, like they showed that they're good enough to keep a game close. So Russell Wilson isn't completely cooked. I would flirt with the Giants plus 6.5 here, because I don't know if the Chiefs are going to, run the floor on them. They didn't do that last year against bad teams. They don't look like they can do it this year either. Offensively, they don't have the firepower. I'm going to take the Giants plus 6.5. Chiefs get their first win.
Yeah, the Giants defense is definitely one defense that is on the better side. I would probably put it up there. Just kind of the defensive line, I'd probably put up top 10 defensive line. Now as a team, they're giving up way too many points though. It's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce who is having meltdowns in week 2 with his coach on the sideline. So while that whole thing is happening, I don't think the Chiefs lose this game to a very bad Giants team, especially on the defensive side. Russ looked amazing and back to his, basket catches to Malik Neighbors, it seemed like, but can he do that for a second week? Highly doubtful. I think that was his best game. It was like, again, how we saw with the Steelers, where it's like, damn, he's going to get replaced in the third quarter of that playoff game. No, he just made an amazing pass. He's playing the whole game. I think that's going to be good for another 2-3 games. If he can at least continue to get the ball to Malik Neighbors and get points on the board. But I think they lose this one at home against the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is just going to find a way to win. I think this is going to be a low scoring game, 21-17, 21-19, something like that. In my opinion, I think the Giants are going to be close, but I think they're going to rely on their kicker to get a majority of their points in this game. I'm going Chiefs to take the dub on Sunday Night Football.
All right. And then on Monday Night Football, we have the team that should have been in the Super Bowl last year against the team that should have been in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. The Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens. And this game is my second game of the week. This is going to be a great football game. And we saw the Lions last week remind us that this will be a great football game. We have the Baltimore Ravens, who their roster, I don't believe that it's that much better than Detroit's. I think we'll see some growing pains in the Lions because of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn being gone. But I think what they did last week with the Bears provided that the Lions, it provided them with like a get right game, which is the necessary momentum to win a game like this. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, they're very different and less familiar challenge. Last time the Lions beat Baltimore, Joey Harrington was the quarterback.
My God.
This is this game. Let's just be, thankful that we get to see it. It's not very often we get to see this game. And I'm tempted to go Lions plus 4.5 here. I'm surprised the Ravens are getting 4.5. The Ravens are a 1-1 football team. Now they lost. Now who's their loss to?
Bills.
Buffalo?
The Bills. Yeah.
Buffalo. No shame in that. And then Detroit loses to Green Bay. That's turning out to be a normal thing. So this is gonna be a great game. I don't know what to do with it. I'm gonna just say I think the spread should be 1.5 either way, and because it's 4.5, I'll take the Lions plus 4.5.
Oh, I like that. I like that. This game is going to be offense. I think both of these defenses are struggling to start the season. I mean, we've seen both of these defenses struggle against really good teams. The Packers for the Lions, and then the Bills for the Ravens, right? So against almost somewhat elite offenses, these defenses are struggling, and you got to credit the offenses on each side of on the Packers and the Bills side, because those are good offenses, man. Josh Allen, Jordan Love, all these guys, they can make plays happen against pretty damn good defenses. And I think this is what's going to happen here in this game. I think it's going to be another high scoring game. And I love that this is a Monday Night Football game, because it's just going to continue the prime time streak, I feel like, of like really good games. Although I was disappointed with the Bears, JJ McCarthy had a really good fourth quarter, and that was an exciting game to watch if you're not a fan of either of those teams. So I think this is going to continue. I think this game gets into the high 30s, man. I could see this being a 38-35 or 40s, even a 40s, like a 42-38 type of game. The Ravens,
they scored 40 and 41 in their 2 games.
Yeah. So these are high powered offenses, man. And the Lions just scored a 50 burger on the Bears last week. So look for this to be a very high scoring game. Whatever the over is, take the over. But I've got to go Ravens at home. I don't think they're going to lose to an NFC team, especially the Lions, but the Lions are going to put up a really good fight, especially after their confidence was boosted last week against the Bears.
Yeah, I have the Ravens 42-41, the 4.5 point spread. I don't see it happening, but I do think the Lions go for 2 for the win at the very end of the game and don't get it.
I like that.
And that's how this one ends. But yeah, you're right. And I will say for the viewers, no matter how 21 points lead in the fourth quarter, do not turn your TV off. The Ravens have proven to be a fourth quarter choke artist team. So I think even if the Ravens are up big, I think that 4.5 is a lot. I think the Lions will come through the back door and cover the spread at the end of the game and maybe win it outright. We'll see.
I'll go through your back door.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5.
Top 5, Kyle.
Backdoor.
Top 5. All right, let's get through these pretty quickly. I think you started last week, so I am going to start with my top 5. This week we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to do it pretty quickly. And Kyle, I know you said not a top 10 team at the beginning of this show, but fuck it. I'm going to put the Colts at number 5. I really like what they're doing. They've gone against 2 really good defenses in the Broncos and a sneaky good defense in the Titans. Indiana Jones looks legit, but like I said while we were previewing their game earlier, don't be surprised if they do turn into the Saints of last season, where they look really good and promising in the first couple weeks, and then fall off a cliff. Sorry, Ginger. But I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen because it's Daniel Jones, and it's the Colts who, as Ginger knows, has been disappointing probably for a really, really long time. So I'm going Colts at number 5.
At number 5, I'm going with the Lions. Look, the Lions' only loss now is against the Packers, and the only other game is a 52-point offensive performance. So the Lions, to me, had a type of game that was like, hey, let's not get carried away that they lost one football game. There's a lot of teams now at this point that have one loss that are really good teams, and some good teams have 2 losses. So we got to stay patient and stick with what we know. I'm going with the Lions at number 5.
Love it. Love it. Love it. At number 4 for me, I am going to go Eagles at number 4. They're kind of slipping in my rankings. I think they were number 1 going into week 1. They slipped to number 3 or number 2, I believe, week 2, and going into week 3, they're going to go down to 4. They're winning games. At the end of the day, that's what you want. It just hasn't looked as convincing as they were last year. And Kyle, you had mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the Eagles too. It just hasn't looked convincing. And Jalen Hurts with not even 100 yards passing. Yes, they're winning a game 2017 against the Chiefs, but it just doesn't look great. Now the defense is holding up its end of the bargain so far after week 2, but you would like to see more offensive firepower if you're an Eagles fan to kind of just get that warm and fuzzy feeling that this team can return to the NFC Championship game. So I got Eagles at number 4. Oh, Kyle. I think we lost Kyle. This is a first. I think we lost Kyle. All right. So we're going to try to get Kyle back here in a sec. And yeah, Jinja's still in the top 5 right now. Yep, 100%. If they keep winning, the Colts are going to be up there. All right. So we're going to get the rest of Kyle's top 5 here soon, as he gets back. At number 3 for myself, I'm going with the Ravens. We just talked about how great their offense has been and their defense has struggled at times. But, they started off a little slow last year as well, and they still made it into the playoffs, division game against the Bills, and were able to get that dub. Not against the Bills, sorry, in the wild card round. They were one of the better teams in the NFL last year, and especially in the AFC. And I think it's going to continue for them. That's why I've got the Ravens at number 3. And at number 2, it continues to pain me to do this, but I'm going to go with the Packers at number 2. I think going into week 1, I didn't have them on my top 5 at all. Week 2, they finally crack it at number 3. And after another very convincing win, they're just going to keep climbing up, man. Unfortunately, I've got the Packers at number 2. This offense and defense seem legit. They are holding offenses like the Commanders and the Lions to like 20 or less points. It is a very, very good team. Overall, Crafty said it earlier, it's a balanced team. It's something that you want as an NFL team, just to be balanced on both sides of the ball, especially the offense with the running game, Josh Jacobs, and the passing games with Golden, Dobbs, and Jordan Love, and Tucker Kraft, especially. Tucker Kraft is going to be, it seems like, an elite tight end. And he's just been proving it so far through 2 weeks. At number 1, they've been my number 1 for 2 weeks now. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are my number 1 team this week. And on our top 5, they are just they're still the Bills, man. It's still Josh Allen. It's this offense. They killed the Jets 30-10. It seems like even elite defenses can't stop Josh Allen in this offense, which, I mean, you got the 2 tight ends in Knox and in oh my God, I'm forgetting the other guy's name, also with a K. But you guys know who it is. So they're still killing it. The Bills are my number 1 team right now, probably the best team in the AFC. Going into week 3, they're just amazing so far, and their offensive output is ridiculous. Their fourth quarter comeback against the Ravens, the absolute smacking of the Jets 30-10, and Josh Allen can get hurt and he'll still come into those games and kill it. So those are my top 5. I've got Colts at 5, Eagles at 4, Ravens at 3, Packers at 2, and the Bills are number 1. We've only got one team from Kyle, and that was the Lions at 5. So it's going to be scrolled at the bottom. We're going to wait patiently for Kyle to come back if he's able to. If not, we're there we go. I think he's back. Let's see if we can get him back here.
All right, dude. I had to restart my computer, download Chrome all over again. It couldn't even open Chrome.
Wow, that's weird. Okay, well, I got my top 5 down, Kyle, and I'll give them to you real quick. Colts 5, Eagles 4, Ravens 3, Packers 2, and Bills at 1.
Oh wow, Bills at 1. Okay.
Yeah.
At number 4, I got the Chargers. The Chargers start the season 2-0. I had them as a top 5 team going into the season. I'm going to keep them where they're at number 4. Big test coming up this weekend. With Denver missing the leverage thing, now we don't even consider them, some people, a top 12 team. If they can win this game, everything will get back to normal. So I'm happy for the get right game. But if the Chargers win it, they almost cement themselves as the AFC West team to beat for the rest of the year. And number 3, this one was tough for me, but I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens because Lamar Jackson is looking like, to me, the clear runaway favorite for MVP. The way that he has been able to put up 2 40-point games back-to-back weeks, it's looking like a historical year for the Ravens. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the first team to start coming close to those 2013 Peyton Manning records if they keep it up. But Lamar Jackson looks like the best quarterback in the league right now, and I got to give them credit for what they've been able to do. At number 2, I got the Buffalo Bills, the team that was able to beat them because of their inability to close the door in the fourth quarter. I think Buffalo is one of those teams that is going to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender, the best team in the AFC. And then at number 1, it's the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are the most balanced team in the NFL. All these other teams on this list, they have, you got the Bills and the Ravens who gave up 40 points. You got the Lions who had the loss to the Packers, but they give up a lot of points. The Packers are the most balanced team in the NFL. And when you look at who's going to win the Super Bowl, you just want to see who's top 5 defense, who's got a top 5 offense, who's really good at running the ball. The Packers, they check every box you want this year, and they are the team to beat in the NFL right now.
All right, guys. Well, that was
top 5, no debating. Top 5, top 5, top 5.
You guys could see it down there on the ticker. All our top 5s going into week 3. Thank you guys again so much for being here. Kyle, we'll save chives for next time, or did you want to do them real quick?
If you want to head out, and I can take the chives.
Yeah, sounds good. Chives time. We're gonna do it here. I'm gonna get out of here before we do the chives. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to hit a like on this video, subscribe, and become a member for only $2.99 a month. And with that, it's time for the motherfucker.
All right, welcome to the Chives with Kyle. One of my favorite writers for the NFL, Nick Shook, he's around the NFL writer. He put out his tiers for the top quarterbacks after the first 2 weeks of the season. And I think when you look at the quarterback tiers, the biggest shock is that Daniel Jones looks like he belongs in a much higher tier than we went into the season believing. But number 1, you have Josh Allen. I got to say, I disagree with Josh Allen. I understand that the Baltimore Ravens, they lost to the Bills, but Josh Allen just, he is in tier 1, but Lamar Jackson, what he's been able to do, all right, 9 yards per attempt, right? He's actually pushing the ball down the field. You're seeing guys like Mahomes with a 6.5 yard per attempt. And if you look at his passing chart, you see that he only attempted 2 passes last week that were 20 yards or more downfield. The Ravens are actually pushing the ball downfield, and they keep teams on their toes, and then they run it in the I formation to Derrick Henry, who's lined up 8 yards behind the quarterback. You got 240 pounds running full 4-3-40 right at you. the Ravens are able to do things that other teams can't. And then when you're able to stop the passing game and Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson takes off for a 40-yard touchdown. He's only got 1 rushing touchdown so far, but he almost has 100 rushing yards already through 2 games. He's got 6 passing touchdowns. And like I said, they scored 40 points and 41 points in their first 2 games. The Ravens are right where the writer sees it here. He's at 3, with Mahomes being at 2. I found number 2 to be very interesting because Mahomes is struggling. Remember, the last 2 years in a row, the Chiefs have scored 15th in the NFL in points per game. There's 16 is the middle mark. There's 32 teams, so they are the definition of mediocre offense the last 2 years. 445 passing yards through 2 games, about 220 plus yards per game. Only 2 passing touchdowns through 2 weeks, 2 rushing touchdowns, kind of abnormal, and 123 rushing yards for Mahomes. What this tells me when you see these type of numbers is that the Chiefs are down late in games, and Mahomes is like, I have to run for a first down to keep the drive alive because I only have 1 or 2 left, and we're down 2 possessions. So we're seeing a lot of desperate football, which is kind of manifesting in 123 rushing yards for Mahomes and 2 rushing touchdowns. But the Chiefs offense as a whole, not as impressive as the Ravens. So I'm surprised that he has Mahomes at number 2. And I would go Lamar Jackson 1, Josh Allen at 2. And I would even have Justin Herbert ranked above Mahomes. So far in 2 games, he's got a 72.1 completion percentage. He's thrown for 560 passing yards, averaging 9.2 yards per attempt. He's got 5 passing touchdowns, sprinkling 63 rushing yards. He does have 2 fumbles, kind of uncharacteristic for Justin Herbert, but Herbert has been considered a top 5 quarterback for many years, and there are a lot of people out there that don't understand why, because he doesn't have a playoff win. They were up 27-0 against the Jaguars, and they lost that game. That was a playoff game a couple of years ago. And in that game, I think Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in the first half, and they couldn't even close the door. So there's a lot of people that have a point of view on Herbert where it's like, you're going to have to prove that you are really a top 5 quarterback, because I'm tired of just, going off of your rookie year where you threw for over 5,000 yards. And I think when you just turn the game on and actually watch the tape, I think it's easy to get sucked into that point of view about Herbert if you don't watch football, right? When you don't actually watch football, you just kind of, you go off of what the results have been. You're like, I'm tired of hearing Justin Herbert's top 5. They haven't won a playoff game. I would argue, if you actually watch this guy play, it is obvious that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It doesn't take long to see, if you watch other football games, that this guy's got something a lot of guys don't. He's very hard to bring down. He's very decisive. He's got great footwork when he's in the pocket. He doesn't make a lot of sloppy throws where his footwork is unbalanced. He doesn't throw the ball before the play has time to develop. You see a lot of younger quarterbacks like JJ McCarthy, who has kind of got his feet work are all over the place, and then he throws the ball to a check down before the intent of the play has even developed, even though he's in a clean pocket. Justin Herbert is one of these guys that hangs in the pocket very long. It's very impressive to see the way he's playing right now. So I think him at 4 I can get down with. The other one here is Baker Mayfield coming in at number 5. I got no problem with Baker Mayfield at 5. I'm going to be honest, like we said it earlier, when it comes to just gritty football, there's nobody you like more than Baker Mayfield. He is, when he was drafted, go look at the photo of him being drafted. He was actually wearing the very short blue shorts with the white t-shirt, and he had the phone on the, the old school phone. And he was, it's not the brick phone, but it's like the one after that. And he was like replicating Brett Favre's draft day. He dressed up exactly as Brett Favre. And it's funny because Baker reminds me of Brett Favre. Just not as, I guess, I don't want to say aggressive, because he is aggressive, but not as sloppy with the ball. He's protected the ball pretty well. You know, he's got 0 interceptions so far, but just the way he loves the game, like the way his passion for the game kind of, if you love football, like you want to watch Baker Mayfield. There was a play on Monday night where he got tackled after like a 15-yard run for a first down, and the defender was kind of standing over him, taunting him, and Baker was holding his ankle in obvious pain. And as soon as that defender was talking shit, Baker stood up and got in his face and was like, no, I'm not hurt anymore. I have time today. So I just love watching Baker Mayfield play. He's got an undefeated team. He led his team to a last-second touchdown that actually won the game, and now he's done that 2 weeks in a row. So he's also proven to be very clutch, which is a quarterback gene that if you don't have, it's very hard to go to the big game. You know, like when you get into the January football, that's why Tom Brady was always in that game. Not just because he had a cakewalk, you know, win your division. That division, I was telling somebody the other day, this is kind of a sidebar, but Tom Brady, if you look up the record, every team's record from like 2001 to 2015 or 14, the AFC East, which is where Tom Brady played, the Bills, the Dolphins, Dolphins, and who's the other one? Bills, Dolphins, Patriots. Bills, Dolphins, Patriots. Who's the fourth one? I'm blanking. Bills, Jets. Okay. 3 of those teams were in the bottom 10 for most losses out of the entire league. There was no other division in the NFL that had 3 teams in the bottom 10. So the Patriots were basically had no competition. You got 3 teams that are terrible for a decade or more. So that's automatically out of the gate, 6 wins. And it put them in a position where they were the number 1 seed every year, which meant all they had to do was get a first round bye. They didn't play the wild card. And then whoever was the lowest remaining seed. So the one team that's like, how are they still in the playoffs? Like they pulled a win out of their ass. That team would go to New England in the divisional round. And then the Patriots would get the win. You know, that was their first playoff. Their fans are going crazy. Tom Brady beats up on some team that's just happy to be there. Like last year's Denver, the year before's Texans. You know, every year there's that one team that's like, how did they win the wild card round? That's who the Patriots would play. And they would win that game, you know, 9 out of 10 times, which means they had to win one difficult football game. And that was the AFC Championship. And give Tom Brady credit, because what he won that game over 50% of the time. But I will say, like, no quarterback, maybe in NFL history, definitely in the last 30 years, had an easier path to the Super Bowl as Tom Brady. Not saying he's not great. I'm just saying, no, like you go to other divisions, it was not like that. You know, there were times where Aaron Rodgers was in the NFC Championship playing a NFC North team. Remember the Bears and Packers played in the NFC Championship game. I think they played in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Like there was that year Devin Hester went to the Devin Hester team. I think that was 2008. Then 2 years later, the Packers were in the Super Bowl playing in 2010. So a lot of other great quarterbacks were dealing with much bigger problems. Even like the Steelers with Big Ben, right? He had a tough go at it. He had to deal with the Ravens, that crazy good defense that they had with Ray Lewis, They had Elvis Dumervil over there for a while, Ed Reed. Joe Flacco had one of the great postseason runs of all time, not to even mention when Joe Burrow was on the Bengals. But the AFC North has always been a dogfight. And then you got like New England Patriots, who you're like, who was really, I mean, you could say Peyton Manning, but that's not even a division rivalry. That's just a game we saw, once a year, maybe twice a year in the AFC Championship. But I think people don't give enough, context to Tom Brady's success. They just say he's got 7 rings. And I think Tom Brady probably is the greatest of all time. But I do think we have to add in the context, because I think had Peyton Manning been in that division, I think Peyton Manning would be considered the best. I think if Aaron Rodgers was in that division, I think he would be the best. So, take that for what it's worth. But regardless, if you want to be one of those quarterbacks that eventually win the Super Bowl, you have to have that clutch gene where there's a minute left in the game. You got 2 timeouts, like John Elway against the Cleveland Browns, the 99-yard, what's called the drive. Game on the line. Can you take your team down and do it? And I say all this to say Baker Mayfield has proven to be one of like the top 3 guys in the NFL that if your team is in this position, you want him to do it. And that says a lot, because there's a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. But there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are as clutch as Baker Mayfield. And that's going to take the Tampa Bay Bucs pretty far if their defense continues to play well. Matthew Stafford at 6. I agree with that. Stafford has made a couple incredible throws this season. I mean, you look at his throw to Davante Adams, and I'm going to post that throw actually on our YouTube page. I think everybody needs to take a look at this throw, because it is one of those throws that just tells you, yeah, he's in year 17, but look what he's still capable of. This is a team that's 2-0, and Jalen Hurts, who the writer of this has him at 7. And we're going to see these two go at it on Sunday. We're going to see Stafford and Jalen Hurts play each other. One of them's in year 6. The other one's 11 extra years, year 17. But this is 2 teams that are competing for the Super Bowl this year. So I'm excited to see this game. But Matthew Stafford has been playing like his back is not an issue. People were really worried about this back injury going into the season. But through 2 games, he's got a 71 completion percentage, over 540 yards passing, almost 9 yards per attempt, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, -8 rushing yards, but that's not his MO. And 2 fumbles, which, yeah, you got to clean that stuff up if you're going to beat a team like the Eagles. But the reason I had this as my game of the week is because I'm excited to see where the Rams measure up, because I had them as a sneaky Super Bowl team this year. And we're going to find out pretty early in the season where they're at. And I will say the Rams typically are a team that gets hot in late October, November. So even if they lose this game, it's not like a white flag wave, that the Rams aren't a Super Bowl contender. It just means that we're going to have to wait until October for them to start heating up, which you were kind of hoping that wouldn't be the case, because that's cost them the playoffs, kind of like the Bengals as well. But both these teams, the Bengals and the Rams, starting 2-0, kind of gives them a little bit of grace if they do go on to lose this week. So they got Dak Prescott at 8. And I'll say that Dak Prescott, man, do I want him to be my quarterback? No, I don't. But is Dak Prescott like one of the most disrespected quarterbacks in the NFL today? Absolutely, he is. I mean, I actually wrote it down here, and I'll see if I can pull it up really quick, because I wanted to make a point of this when I was watching the season opener against the Eagles. Remember, the Eagles and Cowboys played week 1, and here it is. This is just a little bit, I'm sitting down, I'm watching the Eagles and the Cowboys play, and this is just a little bit of what I got from that game. Okay. Dak played great. The story of this game was neither team could effectively get after the quarterback. Part of that was because Micah Parsons was traded to the Packers before the game. And then the other part of it was that Jalen Carter spit in Dak Prescott's face before a snap was even snapped. So aside from that, Dak was ranked at QB 15 going into this year. That was an unanimous poll that had him ranked at 15th, and he was in the top 100, but the NFL does this every year. Dak Prescott came in at 79th. Okay. Now, we have to put this in context because not only that, but Fox Sports, they actually referred I referred to their top 10 QB list. Dak wasn't on it. Dak didn't make the top 10 list. Okay. So I'm looking at all this, 79th best in the league. He's not a top 10 quarterback. You know, he comes in as 15th on this other anonymous poll, excuse me. And yet 2 years ago, he was second in MVP voting behind Lamar Jackson. Lamar won it, and Dak Prescott gained the second most votes that year. That was only 20 months ago. Okay? That was 20 months ago that Dak Prescott finished the season with 4,516 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions, and a pair of rushing touchdowns. And just like in 2023, when Dak Prescott had CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, and then 2004, they traded Amari Cooper to Cleveland, and then things got a little weird offensively, and McCarthy gets fired, Dak got injured. And because of that one season, we just kind of, you know, by default almost just threw Dak Prescott out of the conversation of top quarterbacks, even though he was only 20 months removed from being considered the second best quarterback in the NFL in 2023. But now they bring in George Pickens to kind of fill that spot where Amari Cooper is. You saw last week that offense looks like the real deal. I mean, they were pushing the ball. Think about it. The Giants had like 500 yards of offense in this game, right? Very concerning. And the Cowboys were able to win it. That's pretty impressive. And Dak has won a high percentage of games. And I want to remind people that Dak Prescott is 33-8 in his division all time. 33-8. This is a division that hasn't had a back-to-back winner in 23 years, 21 years. So that tells you something about this division. It tells you that it's very competitive. Even if not every team is double-digit wins, every team 7-9, whatever the case is, this is a gritty division where it's hard to get wins against your opponents. This is a division that beats each other up every single year, yet Dak Prescott is 33-8 in his division. That is insanity. He's 76-46 as a starter. Okay. And I almost felt like Dak Prescott getting spit on before a snap was even snapped by Jalen Carter was almost symbolic to how everybody had treated Dak Prescott up to this point, right? Just a guy that is used goods. And look, part of this is Jerry Jones's fault because we are so annoyed with the Cowboys and the way they operate. And I try to tell people, like, you try to remove the player from the organization because Dak Prescott is a Walter Payton Man of the Year recipient, which is like the most prestigious award you can win for having the best character off the field. Like Dak Prescott in the clown show that Jerry Jones continues to operate every single year has been a source of stability. He's been the constant, right? Not the variable. And I thought that this was going to be a very quick resurgence for Dak Prescott after 2 games. And it is. Here he is coming in at 8, starting the season, 8 spots lower. We were quick to remember that Dak Prescott's a top 10 quarterback and throw him into the top 8. And we'll see what he can do. Remember, Mahomes is 35-5 in the AFC West. Dak Prescott's 33-8. Only 2 wins better is Mahomes, who we have said is like the most dominant quarterback in any division. Yet Dak Prescott's right below Mahomes. So I like to see Dak Prescott get his flowers. At number 9, they have Jordan Love. I agree with this one too. I think Jordan Love's playing really good football, but also Matt LaFleur isn't asking Jordan Love to do anything crazy, right? This is the most balanced offense in the NFL. They're going to run the football 22 times a game. They're going to throw the ball 22 times. I mean, they are the definition of balanced. They don't ever have a game that is like Jordan Love had to throw it 40 times and they had to abandon the run game. It doesn't happen. And because of that, Jordan Love doesn't put up the same type of numbers that you're going to see from these other teams, and specifically teams like the Ravens or the Bills, who are giving up 40 points on defense. These aren't the type of game that Green Bay is going to be in. They look like one of the best, if not top 3 defense in the NFL. And because of that, the score is going to be low, and the Packers are going to get out to a 2-possession lead in the first half. And then the second half is going to be about eating clock, maintaining that lead, and not doing anything cute. Matt LaFleur is the kind of guy to be on the opponent's 30-yard line and on a 4th and 2, up 10 points with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and the whole entire place wants you to go for it. It's an obvious go for it, and he sends out his kicker. That's just who LaFleur is. He's very good at taking his emotion out, and that's what cost the Texans the game on Monday night. They're on the 2-yard line. They run the ball on first down. They run the ball on second down. They run the ball on third down, and they get held up. And now it's 4th down. And instead of kicking the field goal and taking the 3 points and understanding what kind of game you're in a field goal type of game where every point is valuable. They decided to go for it and came away with no points. And then ultimately that's what cost them the game. So Matt LaFleur is the kind of coach that actually kicks the field goal in that scenario. And for every, 1 out of 10 times that it pisses you off because maybe it bit you in the ass later that you weren't more aggressive, there's 9 out of 10 times where you're like, wow, that field goal actually, we won by 2. Think about it. That field goal, the one that we were all booing, that actually won us the game. So I love what Green Bay's doing. I don't expect Jordan Love to put up the type of numbers that are going to wow you this year. I still see him throwing for over, 4,200 yards. But he's not going to have the type of numbers that you're going to see out of like probably the Ravens. I would say Buffalo, but Buffalo is also like very, very balanced in the way that they're playing with James Cook. And I'm trying to think of another team that's kind of relying on the pass. I'm hoping that, that doesn't happen to us, but probably you look at Tampa Bay and they got Bucky Irving. The Chargers are going to, okay, that's a great comparison. Justin Herbert, right? Justin Herbert's not going to finish this season with the type of numbers that are like, crown him MVP. He just won't. That's not the way Harbaugh runs his offense. He's physical. He's going to run the ball a ton, and they're going to win 16-23 football games. So don't expect the craziest numbers out of these guys, but definitely top 10 quarterbacks, and it finishes with Jared Goff. And, man, I would say congratulations for Jared Goff in the bounce-back performance, because I think that corrected Jared Goff's standing in the public eye. They returned to their bread and butter week 2. They ran the football. You had Jahmyr Gibbs going, in the flat on a choice route against the linebacker. They went back to the things that make them unstoppable. And they were able to put up a 50-burger on the Bears and remind everybody that even though they lost to Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, that they still have some of the best weapons in the NFL, right? Sam Laporta is a joker. He's somebody that can do it all. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another joker. You got Jameson Williams. You got 2 running backs that are arguably top 12 in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And you got a quarterback that has proven that he can go to the line, go with a dummy snap count, motion a player out, gather the data, bring him back in, change the play based on what your defense is doing, and burn you. And that is the type of quarterback that I said would be able to compensate for losing a really good coordinator, because Jared Goff was so involved in the game planning. He was so involved in the way they ran their offense that losing Ben Johnson, did it hurt? Yeah. But was it detrimental? No, because Jared Goff plays the quarterback position like an old school quarterback, right? It's not so much like these Shanahans and McDaniels where they're like, hey, we can draw up plays so well that if the quarterback just stands in the pocket and does what we tell him to do, the play will be there. But it's more the offensive play caller than the quarterback. That's how people treat it, at least. These are the type of quarterbacks that I would say they can make their own magic, based on what they're seeing on the field. It's not on the, play caller to do it. So I love what I'm seeing out of Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff's another one of these quarterbacks that's like wildly disrespected. And I got to say, the overreaction of this, as far as this writer, I don't disagree with much. I already mentioned what I did disagree with. But here's what I do disagree with. Russell Wilson at 12. Russell Wilson at 12 is insane, right? I understand he had one good game, right? But let's not forget that he scored 3 points week 1, and he was one more bad half away from being benched completely. And now they have him at 12, one spot below Jaden Daniels. Like, talk about an overreaction, right? That's like taking way too much, putting way too much into a win. And that's just 2 weeks through the season. This is exactly what you don't want to do. And you got Jinja here saying Russell Wilson is 22 through 29 in my eyes. Daniel Jones is ranked 13th. If anything, Daniel Jones should be ahead of Russell Wilson, in my opinion. They got Bo Nix ranked at 15th. You're telling me right now you got to go with one quarterback for the rest of the season? You're taking Russell Wilson over Bo Nix? You're taking Russell Wilson over Daniel Jones? You're taking Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers, who's ranked 16. Kyler Murray's at 17. Geno Smith at 18. Michael Penix Jr. should not be below Geno Smith. Geno Smith looked awful. He has 4 interceptions, 1 passing touchdown, 0 rushing touchdowns, 30 rushing yards. I mean, what are we doing here? How is Geno Smith ranked ahead of Michael Penix Jr.? I mean, CJ Stroud at 20, Drake May at 21, Trevor Lawrence at 22. You got Spencer Rattler ahead of Tua and Justin Fields and Mac Jones. Bryce Young's at 27. And then we get to the last tier, tier 5, Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, Jake Browning, and Joe Flacco. First off, Cam Ward, I know the numbers don't look like it, but go watch the Titans and tell me what you see, because Cam Ward is going to be, just remember where he's at right now. What was it? September 18th, he's at 28. Don't be surprised if he makes his way to 15 in a month and a half. I mean, you can just tell when you watch this kid play that he's got it. There were so many times where his teammates let him down, dropped balls on third down. This guy throws like with one speed, and it's too much. It reminds me of the way Brett Favre used to throw it, breaking people's pinkies and shit for no reason. Cam Ward he's got to learn when to dial it back a little bit. But there was a lot of plays where his team just couldn't catch the ball on key moments. And Sometimes he was throwing it fast because the defense was so tight that he had to throw it into a window, and that was the only speed he could. And credit him for being one of the few quarterbacks that can see a window this big and go, yeah, I can make that throw. I have the release necessary and the arm power to make these throws, but the team is letting him down. I think Cam Ward's going to be special. Caleb Williams at 29. I'm going to reserve like any thoughts on Caleb until I see him. I need to see more. He's holding the ball way too long. And I'll say it a million times. Sacks are a quarterback driven stat. And we give so much credit to the offensive line. But really, at the end of the day, like if your quarterback has 3.5 seconds, he's got to get rid of the ball, right? First read, second read, third read, back to your first read. It's not there. Either run or throw it to your check down. But this whole like, okay, it's not there. Now we're going to do the play after the play. I'm going to spin out of here and I'm going to run for my life over to the sideline. And because this is how I played football at USC. And this is how I played football in high school. And I've always been able to just rely on my natural speed and arm talent to be able to do this kind of stuff. But now you're in the NFL and it's like, are you really even trying to go with these reads, or are you already at the snap relying on the play after the play? Because when you watch Caleb Williams, it's starting to feel like he does not do the play after the play when the game calls for it. He does it by choice. And that is something that is very concerning. So I just want to see Caleb Williams take a deep breath, trust his offensive line, trust his receivers. You got some of the best weapons in the NFL. Luther Burden, Rome Odunze. You got DJ Moore. You drafted a top 10 tight end in Colston Loveland. You got Cole Kmet there. You got DeAndre Swift to bail you out on the check down. Just calm down. Like, stop trying. It reminds me of Russell Wilson, man. The way that he was like, I need to reverse everyone's opinion on me in one play. If I can just have one play that is so miraculous that everybody is back on board, then I can live with myself. And it's hard, but the truth is like people aren't going to come back on board because of one play. It's going to be because you did the right thing over and over and over and over and over. And it's the boring football, right? And that's like, we punish quarterbacks that play boring football. Like Brock Purdy, he's a system quarterback, right? He's a game manager. That is the quarterback's job, to manage the game. So hardly an insult. But then you got guys like Cam Newton calling him a game manager. And it's like, okay, Cam Newton was he incredibly special? Could he do things just gifted that Brock Purdy can't do? Absolutely. Okay. But Brock Purdy is like, he's taken his team to the Super Bowl, and he looked way better in the Super Bowl than Cam Newton looked when he played in his Super Bowl. And Brock Purdy also took his team to an NFC championship game or a divisional game, but he broke his elbow. Like, you got to remember, it is much easier to want to just be like wowed by the quarterback than to be like, yeah, he does all the little stuff right. It's boring. It's not fun, but nobody cares about that when you win football games. So I would urge Caleb Williams to lean into the boring football. You know, stop trying to be a special talent, right? We all know what you're capable of because every 15 times you try something crazy, it works once in a while. But just get back to doing the little things right. Go to your first read, go to your second, go to your third, go back to your first, check it down, or go forward and gain yards. Stop trying the backyard football stuff. You're not accurate enough on your deep ball to be doing this stuff anyway. And that's why every time we see Ben Johnson, he's like shaking his head. He's having a bad time because he's like, dude, I drew up a play that was perfect for that defense. What are you doing? Like, you didn't even give my play a chance. You were already bailing on it before the intent of the play developed. So I want to see Caleb Williams take that step. And I expect Ben Johnson to sit down with him in the film room and go, pause. Right? I could do the same thing with Bo Nix after week 1. You pause it, you go, why is that guy? Why aren't you seeing this? Right? See this guy right here? He's wide open. Why are you trying, to squeeze a ball in between the safety and the corner, on a deep shot? You got your number 2 wide open right here. And hopefully Caleb Williams can take to the coaching. And that's part of what your job is. You get these raw talents, you got to develop them. And we'll see how much Caleb Williams can develop this season. As long as we're seeing him progress week 1 to week 2 to week 3, I think Bear fans will feel good about that. But if we're just seeing the same thing, kind of like the Anthony Richardson, like, we're not really seeing him get better. I think that's what's mostly concerning. So Caleb Williams, can he improve? This is going to be a big game going against Dallas. So if they lose this game, like I said, they're 0-3. And the only other quarterbacks in a worse category is J.J. McCarthy, who's played 8 quarters, and he looked good in one of them. And he's not going to play in this game. So I got no problem with him being ranked this low. He's got to earn his way to climb up. And then Jake Browning, I thought Jake Browning looked pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I think Jake Browning, he might be a little low for me. Took his team on a game-winning drive. I saw him mic'd up. I like the way that he's talking to his team, the way he commands the huddle. He's obviously a guy that's been in this situation. We've seen Jake Browning take over. That's why they paid him good money to be a backup. And he's somebody that the Bengals believe they can continue to win with. So I don't know. I think this is a little low for him. There's only one spot worse, and that's Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, man, I mean, it's hardly a shocker. And for the last time, I'm going to say this. What the Cleveland Browns are doing is the worst thing a franchise can do to their fans, right? There's 2 types of teams. There's teams that sell hope to their fan bases, and there's teams that don't. Every single team in the NFL, besides one, was able to sell hope to their fans. And the one team that didn't do it was the Cleveland Browns. Because what is the point of drafting Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel from Oregon? You're right, 2 top 5 quarterbacks. If you were going to start Joe Flacco, because you knew that starting Joe Flacco was going to put you in a top 5 draft pick next year. And we know next year the quarterbacks are loaded, right? You got the quarterback out of Penn State. There's multiple quarterbacks that are going to be, it's going to be like pretty loaded, right? I could see like 5 quarterbacks going in the first round. So I say all that to say, if Cleveland finds themselves with the 4th pick, remember they also have Jacksonville's first rounder, who Jacksonville traded to get Travis Hunter. So Cleveland will have 2 first rounders, and they will be able to move up to number 1 if they wanted to. And they could take the best quarterback in the draft if that's what they want. But if that was the plan all along, then why waste the Shedeur Sanders draft pick? Why waste the Dillon Gabriel draft pick? Why wouldn't you draft, a receiver and a running back to build? It doesn't make any sense. And if you're going to draft a quarterback next year, you need to know that your franchise quarterback isn't in the building already. Okay. And the only way you're going to know that is if you start Shedeur Sanders and he sucks. And then make sure that he sucks, right? Next week, did he get better? The week after that, does he get better? And at the end of the season, at least you know what you have. But you're going with Joe Flacco, who offers you no upside. And at least if you went with Shedeur Sanders, who you might agree offers you no upside, at least it's giving you the ability to evaluate a mystery. There is no mystery with Joe Flacco. We're not learning anything new. We're just delaying the inevitable. And it's pointless because the inevitable is that you're going to have a top 5 draft pick. and you're not even going to know what to do with it because you don't even know what you have with the quarterbacks in the room. You got 2 rookie quarterbacks that haven't even played a snap. These quarterbacks, I said week 1, they need to be on the field showing you what they are so you know what to do when the season's over. And you are wasting these games. Like, now you've wasted 2 football games. You're not a playoff team, dude. Just accept it. Joe Flacco can't win you a Super Bowl. If you're not really competing, what are you doing? It doesn't make sense. So I would rather their losses not be in vain, and at least they can gain data on these mysteries that they have at the position. And the fact that I felt this way before week 1, and now here we are going into week 3, and Joe Flacco is ranked as the worst quarterback in the NFL by this writer, is like, okay, even if Joe Flacco was ranked 20th, I would still feel this way. But the fact that he's ranked 32nd, this is like the perfect storm of what the hell are you doing as a franchise? Like, the quarterback offers you no upside while neglecting these rookies that you need to know what to do with by the end of the season. They're not playing, and Joe Flacco's playing like the worst quarterback in the NFL. This is like a fireable offense to me. Now, I don't know who is calling the shots, right? But if it is not the head coach and maybe the GM, I don't know. But I think it's time that the media in Cleveland gets a little more aggressive with the way they're addressing the quarterback scenario in Cleveland. Nobody should be okay with this if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. So we'll see what they do. All right. I think maybe this could be the game that the Browns say, here's Shedeur Sanders. We don't know what he is, but we're going to find out. So overall, don't have a problem with a bunch of the QB lists besides, a couple here and there. So, throwing Russell Wilson into the top 12, insanely overreactive. But the top 10, I kind of like it. I like to see Dak Prescott at number 8. Good for him climbing back up there. Baker Mayfield being in the top 10. I love it. Puts fire in my gut. And then Lamar being at 3, Mahomes at 2. That's kind of boo, right? I mean, come on. That's just bad. If you're going to overreact to Russell Wilson, then why are you underreacting to Mahomes being 0-2? Right? You can't pick and choose. If that's the tone, right? I'm overreacting every single week. That's how I write this. Then stay consistent with every quarterback. Mahomes should be at like 14 if that's how you're doing it. How the hell is he above Lamar? Makes no sense. But Jinja agrees. Time to move on from Flacco. Browns fans agree as well. Thanks for listening to our predictions today. As always, follow us at the Only Football Podcast. Hit the sub button. Join. You can become a member and be a part of the Only Football fam. We got about 100 more subs till we hit 1,000 subscribers. A big moment here for the Only Football Podcast. Super pumped up, man. This is going to be a good week. We get a lot of good data. Tonight, I don't think we're going to learn anything new. If they get embarrassed, McDaniels could be fired. So I will say that. But I'll end it with this. The games that I think we're going to learn the most from: the Broncos-Chargers, right? Whoever wins that game is going to be in first place in the AFC West and probably the new favorite to dethroning the Chiefs. Detroit and Baltimore. That's a learning game. Detroit starts 0-1. Same with Baltimore. They both clap back with 50 and 40 points in dominating fashions. Now they're playing each other. So I'm excited to see that Monday Night Football game. The Raiders in Washington. Not a game that brings you a lot of joy, but it is a game that we're going to learn a lot about. I think Washington and the Raiders are kind of in that same zone right now. There's people that are very bullish on both of these teams, but they have been both of them have been disappointing. So, and then the Jets. I'll go with the Jets in the Bears game, right? The Bears are playing the Cowboys and the Jets are playing Tampa Bay just because both those teams are 0-2. You gotta, if you go 0-3, your chances of making the playoffs are like 7%. So you got two teams that are kind of on a lifeline here. Excited for the Jets, Tampa Bay. I had the Jets as my upset of the week, and then the Bears at home in front of their own fans can't fall to 0-3. Texans too, 0-2 going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville coming off of a loss to Jake Browning after beating the Panthers. This game is going to tell us a lot. Houston's 0-2. Their offense has been struggling. CJ Stroud can't stay healthy. And then the Rams and Philly. Who are the Rams really? Right? 2 wins over mediocre teams. Now they go play the Super Bowl champions. It's going to be a good week. A lot of telling football this week. So definitely stick with us here. We'll be streaming these games. I'll have some more videos coming out this week. And as always, hit that like button. Tell somebody about the Only Football Podcast. Tell them that you enjoy it. Even if you don't, just make it up as you go. And I will see you guys on the next stream. Jinja, I hope you find your phone, brother. But as always, rest in peace to Bill. And